If there's one thing that WWE wanted to make very clear with night number 1 of WrestleMania, this is the start of the Triple H era. Michael Cole literally said that on commentary. This is the beginning of the Triple H era of World Wrestling Entertainment. And he had to make a call in this build-up here on the road to WrestleMania. He had to make a call to pivot in a different direction because of the backlash from fans after Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble, punches his ticket to WrestleMania, and has to step aside to make room for The Rock to challenge Roman Reigns. Fans didn't like that very much. And so he had to make a decision. What do we do here? What do we do? Do we just stay the course? Do we fight against the fans? Or do we call an audible and change directions? And The Rock is the one who ultimately made the call that he was going to go heel. And so there were a lot of changes here on this road to WrestleMania, and it led to where we are here tonight. Although I will say that if you listen to that crowd in Philadelphia, it certainly did not sound as if The Rock was the heel in this match. Philadelphia fans in the stadium tonight might have a different opinion of that. But for the second year in a row, year number 2, Cody Rhodes loses in the main event of WrestleMania. For the second WrestleMania in a row, Cody Rhodes gets pinned by a member of the Bloodline and is sitting in the middle of the ring a loser, as Roman Reigns and The Rock celebrate in the background, and they get the big pyro celebration, and The Rock pins Cody Rhodes. And so now tomorrow night, night 2 at WrestleMania, Roman defends the Undisputed title against Cody. It will be Bloodline rules in the main event, which means that anything goes. Anybody can interfere. Anybody can use weapons. Doesn't matter. Rock's the boss. Rock's on the board. Rock is yelling at Chad Patton, the referee, in the main event tonight. Don't you dare think about counting us out. Dropping F-bombs on him. Don't you even fucking think about it. So now they're going to have their way with Cody Rhodes tomorrow night. If there was any doubt left about the outcome of night 2 of WrestleMania, because I have had so many Roman Reigns fans saying, Cody is not going to win the title. Roman Reigns is going to hold that title until he wrestles The Rock at WrestleMania 41. Roman Reigns is going to hold that championship until he passes Hulk Hogan's record, brother. The imaginary record that doesn't exist. All kinds of nonsense. There can be no doubt, after what we saw tonight, about how things are going to play out tomorrow night, as far as Roman Reigns is concerned, as far as the Undisputed Championship is concerned. I didn't really think there was much doubt to begin with, but WWE basically beat you over the head with it tonight watching this show. They did everything in their power to make you understand that tomorrow night you are going to witness a title change in the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes is not walking back into Lincoln Financial Field for 2 nights in a row and losing his 3rd straight WrestleMania main event. Cody Rhodes, if he walks into WrestleMania tomorrow night and loses again, he may as well pack up his bus, drive back down to Georgia. There's plenty of other things that Cody Rhodes can do. He's got plenty of suits. He can run for office. He can start his own business. He could be the CEO. He can go into work every day. He's got the Nightmare Factory. Plenty of things for Cody to do. But he can never show his face again. Not as a top baby face in this company. If he walks in tomorrow night and loses his 3rd straight WrestleMania main event, you are out of your mind. If you think that that is going to, you can mark this down too, because we're going to be back here in 24 hours, and we're going to be talking about night 2. And so some people are going to look at that and go, well, then it's predictable. You know, they made the night 2 main event predictable. What they did tonight was exactly what they needed to do. The Rock pinning Cody Rhodes in that match, Cody Rhodes losing tonight, was a necessary outcome to build drama and build interest heading into night 2 tomorrow night. You cannot talk about a Bloodline rule stipulation. And they gave us a little bit of a taste of it on Raw Monday night when they had Seth Rollins against Solo Sikoa. They wanted you to get a feel for what Bloodline rules is really going to be. They don't do that unless they're going to deliver on that stipulation. To do Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes at this point as a fair fight, free of any outside interference, would actually feel underwhelming. And that's the one thing I've been hoping for in this Roman Reigns run. Can we not get interference? Can we not get the same old shit in every Roman Reigns main event, which I feel like we've been getting now for the better part of 3.5 years. And yet, as we go into night 2, it has to be Bloodline rules. It is set up perfectly for it to be Bloodline rules. And here's another reason why it was smart for them to do what they did tonight. The Rock, to his credit, as I watched that WrestleMania main event tonight, I didn't know what to expect from The Rock. The last time we saw Rock in a match, it was 6 seconds long against Eric Rowan 8 years ago. It doesn't count. It was an angle. It wasn't even a match. You would have to go all the way back to WrestleMania 29. The last time The Rock had a proper match, and it was a one-on-one match, not even a tag team match. But you would have to go back all the way to WrestleMania 29. That was the night that The Rock tore almost every muscle off the bone in his body. Okay, and he was 11 years younger than he is now. The Rock has made appearances on TV. He's in great shape, but he looks winded sometimes, just by talking. So you don't know what to expect coming into a show like this. How is he going to look? Him being in a tag team match makes all the sense in the world, because if for some reason he's not, in the condition he needs to be in to carry on a 15 or 20-minute singles match, you kind of hide him a little bit in a tag team match, right? You got little rest periods in there. It's the smart thing to do. The Rock went out there. They wrestled 45 minutes in that main event. You want to factor in the entrances and everything, it was an hour. But that main event tonight went 45 minutes. The Rock, I thought, looked great. I thought the Rock looked great in that main event tonight. And what they have done now by having him pin Cody Rhodes is, after Cody wins the championship, and again, there's no doubt in my mind that that's what's going to happen here, they have set up for whenever he's ready to do it, whenever he's free, to do The Rock one-on-one with Cody Rhodes, because there is still an issue there. There is still a personal beef between The Rock and Cody Rhodes. And so out of this entire debacle here, with everything that happened with Rock coming back, what has now happened is, instead of having one huge match that they would have blown through tomorrow night with Rock and Roman, they have now set themselves up for Rock and Cody. Potentially they could do that at SummerSlam. They've set themselves up for Rock and Roman in next year's WrestleMania. They could set up for Roman Reigns to be the next big babyface when that time comes. There's a lot of money to be made in multiple matches now instead of just one. So it's smart business. And I thought The Rock looked good tonight. Now, can he do that in a singles match where it's just him and he has to go one-on-one with somebody? I don't know. But I thought, to his credit, I thought he looked great tonight. One thing I will say about this year's WrestleMania Night 1, this was definitely not WrestleMania 39 Night 1. WrestleMania 39 last year, Night 1 was an all-timer. That was definitely not tonight. The crowd was part of it. It's very weird. Crowd was very dead for a large part of the show. Now, you may have been in the stadium, watching this and saying, wait, we were loud. Why is he saying we were quiet? I'm just telling you, watching at home on TV, it was fucking quiet for about 85% of the show tonight. And I don't know if the weather played a role in that, which is very possible, because they keep running these outdoor shows on occasion on the East Coast at the beginning of April, which is fucking stupid. I don't know why they do that. They did that in New York. Funny enough, that was the last Rock singles match. I was at that show, and, I remember it being on the chilly side. But even the announcers tonight were bitching for half the pay-per-view about how cold it was outside. It was like 52 degrees. They said it felt like 48. Michael Cole at one point had a hat on his head. Corey Graves had gloves on. Pat McAfee is mocking the both of them. And so I wonder if the weather may have played a role in that. I hope that is not a sign of things to come tomorrow night, because the crowd definitely, plays a role in the environment and the atmosphere. But it's not just the crowd reaction. You can't just blame it on that. It's just the show felt dead for a good chunk of it. It really died there in the middle for a while. I thought it opened good. It closed strong. At the end of the day, that's the most important thing. It definitely picked up at the end. Those last two matches I thought saved the pay-per-view. But for a good chunk of this show, I'm just sitting here going, man, this is a lackluster show. This doesn't feel like a WrestleMania. Now, there was another history-making event that happened tonight on the show, other than The Rock coming back and pinning Cody Rhodes. And that was the end. Gunther. Right on time. Look at this. Gunther, the magnificent. Right on time. All hail Gunther. It wasn't Gunther, it was Gunther, but holy shit, thank you for that $50. I'm going to be reading your super chats here in a little bit, but it was Gunther. 600 66 days as the Intercontinental Champion, the mark of the beast, comes into WrestleMania tonight to defend his title against Sami Zayn. And I could talk about how I wish it were Chad Gable in that spot. That would have made for a better story. Yes, that is a fact. It would have made for a better story than the one that they ultimately went with. But Sami Zayn is one of my favorites right now in all of wrestling, especially coming out of that Bloodline storyline. I mean, he made that whole thing. Sami Zayn is great. Gunther, you don't need me to tell you how great he is. All you got to do is watch this guy. Just watch him, watch the title run that he has been on for the last 600 plus days. The man is fantastic. You put the two of them in the ring tonight, it would be awfully hard for them to go out there and have a bad match. They did not have a bad match. They went out there and had the first truly excellent match on the show tonight. Like I said, those last two matches really saved the show for me. They went out there, they told a great story. And to my surprise, because I didn't think they were going to do it, we have a new Intercontinental Champion. The longest Intercontinental title run in history is now over. And Sami Zayn left with the gold. He hands Gunther his first pinfall loss on the main roster since he was called up. And we'll get into my thoughts on that and everything. I'm happy for Sami. It was a great moment, him kissing his wife in the front row. I think there's great potential now for Chad Gable to get his hands on that title, which we'll get into. I was very conflicted when that match ended, though, because I truly was not expecting them to pull the trigger on a title change tonight, and not with Sami Zayn. I didn't think they were going to do it. It didn't seem to me, even as I look back now, that that may have been the plan from the get-go, because if they were going to have Gunther and Brock Lesnar, would they really have Brock win the belt? Maybe. I wouldn't have thought so. But they went and they gave us the title change on the show. Excellent match. It's hard to hate on a match that good. But I'll tell you one match that I did hate, and I wish I could sit here and tell you that I really liked it. I wish I could sit here and tell you that it lived up to expectations. But what we had tonight on the show, we had brother against brother. It was Jimmy Uso, it was Jey Uso, and I can sit here and tell you confidently this was the worst brother versus brother match of the few that we have had in WrestleMania history. For a match that both of them have talked about wanting to have since they were little kids, it's been their dream to go out there and face each other in a match at WrestleMania. And you want so badly for them to go out there and to deliver, and Jey Uso, right, seems like a great guy and everything, and they go out there and they have the most boring fucking match, probably of the entire show. I thought that match was just terrible. And again, that kind of goes into what I was saying before about there were some matches, key matches on this card. It just felt very lackluster. It just didn't feel like WrestleMania. So that dragged the show down for me. In the end, I would still say that it was a good night of WrestleMania. It was not a great night of WrestleMania. And we're going to run through all of it because this is your WrestleMania Night number 1 review. I am the Solomonster, and I want to say thank you very much for joining me here on a Saturday night as we prepare for 2 nights of WrestleMania. This was night number 1. Like and subscribe, especially if you are new here. I want you to make sure you hit that sub button. We are aiming for 750 likes minimum on this video to do our Be the Booker segment a little bit later. I don't know how late that will be. That's up to you guys. Super chats are open. I'll pause them periodically, but you will see them popping up on screen. I am going to read through your messages. So if you have comments about WrestleMania, if you have something to ask or something to contribute, or you think I'm wrong about something, chime in and let me know. I do appreciate all of your support. Very much so. And the Judgment Day. Interrupting me early, I see, here in the WrestleMania review. Hey, Uffman, thank you, man. Uffman is one of our mods. Shout out to the mods in the chat doing God's work tonight. Holding down the fort, always very much appreciated. It was chilly outside. Again, they kept telling us it was chilly in Philly, right around 50 degrees. They said it was a real feel of 48. Had the wind blowing. They were using the same heated ring that they used at MetLife Stadium for WrestleMania 11 years ago. The last time that we saw The Rock in a singles match at WrestleMania, they had a special heated ring. Because again, it is kind of insane to have these people out there. Now, this is very different than a football game. You know, you'll have sports fans who go, what's the big deal? You got football players who play in colder weather. They play in snowstorms, right? Who gives a shit?
Amazing Gunther.
Hey, Riley.
Jerry Lawler loves Gunther.
Riley Park.
All hail Gunther.
Look at this. Riley Parvin coming in with a $50 Gunther bomb. I feel like we're going to see Gunther's face a lot tonight. But you get people who use the sports analogies and they say, oh, well, you know, again, what's the big deal here? Yes, but I don't see football players, thank God. I don't see them out there, you know, playing football, half naked, wearing spandex, and not much else, right? There's a big difference there. There's a very big difference there. So it's not the same thing. So they had a heated ring out there, and there's no telling why Nick Khan, he just did an interview this week, and he talked about the possibility of WrestleMania going forward being moved to late April, possibly as soon as next year. They may move WrestleMania to later in the month, which I think would make a lot of sense. Either that, or he said they're going to run more venues that are indoors instead of running outdoor venues. Because again, it can affect the show. It can affect fan reaction to the matches. And frankly, if I'm paying a ticket to go to WrestleMania, I'd rather not sit there and freeze my ass off. So who knows how much of a role that may have played in the reaction tonight. But in case you were wondering, I said it at the very top. There can be no doubt. The Vince McMahon era of WWE is over, thankfully. A little too late, but better late than never. The Triple H era has begun. And you know how we know this? Because right from the very beginning of tonight's show, we had a brand new signature. The opening Then, Now, Forever Together has been updated with Triple H now doing the voiceover for it. America the Beautiful. They usually have somebody singing America the Beautiful at the beginning of these shows. America the Beautiful is out. We had the Star Spangled Banner sung tonight. We had Coco Jones did a rendition of the song here. And this may be the biggest change from the Vince McMahon era, and I know some people are going to hate this, but we had a giant bottle of Prime, Logan Paul's drink, the logo emblazoned in the middle of the ring. The first time we had branding. We have logos and branding in the middle of the ring mat in WWE. They have them in other sports. They have them in UFC. They had them many years ago in WCW. Remember the Slim Jim and Snickers and all that? WWE never did. Vince McMahon wanted a clean ring. Well, he ain't here no more. And it's about making money. So they got the giant bottle of Prime. They got the Prime logo on the turnbuckles. It's just logo mania all over ringside. Not only that, Cody Rhodes now, they have this new vodka sponsorship, this Wheatley vodka brand. Cody Rhodes is now the face of Wheatley vodka. So they have Cody Rhodes representing a vodka brand. And Roman Reigns on social media, I think earlier today, just announced that he now has a new Nike deal. Roman Reigns scoring that Nike deal. So these are the types of things that we didn't hear about before in WWE. But Triple H walked out to the ring to open the show. Michael Cole says that he believes this new era should be dubbed the Triple H era. I don't know if Triple H fed that to him. But that's what he said. And Triple H welcomed us to a new time, a new era. Welcome, he said, to WrestleMania. And that was it. He didn't have anything else to say. But that led into the opening match of this show. Becky Lynch, she got her wish. She said that she wanted to know what it feels like to open a WrestleMania. She got her wish. Opened the show with Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. She also came into the match, they told us, sick with strep throat. And she was running 102-degree fever the other day. This is like the whole Bret Hart thing when he lost the Intercontinental title to the Mountie back in 92. And they claimed, oh, he had 104 fever and he went into the match with strep throat. Of course, that was just a cover story because he was negotiating with WCW, but kind of reminded me of that. But I do believe she was sick. And so credit to her for coming into the match and working the match sick like that. I'm sure that she probably didn't feel very good out there throwing herself around. But Becky's entrance video included excerpts from her new book. She also, if you notice on her ring gear, she had excerpts from her ring gear, or excerpts from her book on her ring gear as well. I couldn't read what it said, but clearly it was from her book. And we had the band Motionless in White, who are from Pennsylvania. They sang Rhea Ripley to the ring, so she got the live entrance, which doesn't always work very well for people at WrestleMania. There have been a lot of people who have gotten the live band treatment, and things don't go too well for them. But she didn't have to worry about that tonight. Becky did get some noticeable boos from the crowd during the introduction by Samantha Irvin. So Rhea hit an early Northern Light suplex, went up top. Becky, though, brought her down with an arm drag. Becky spiked her with a tornado DDT for 2. Becky followed with a leg drop onto the apron and then gave Rhea an exploder into the barricade. Becky hit one more diving leg drop and then tried a crossbody. Rhea easily catches her and then gives her a knee strike. Becky tried an armbar, but Rhea hoisted her up and hit 3 consecutive power bombs for a near fall. Becky tried targeting the arm. Ripley, though, booted her for 2. And then Becky avoided a charge. Rhea went shoulder first right into the ring post. Becky applied a disarmor between the ropes before the referee broke it up. And then Ripley countered into a prism trap, which is her standing cloverleaf that she does. Becky countered into a cover, though, for a 2 count. So Becky countered a Riptide attempt, our first Riptide attempt by Rhea in this match, countered it into a manhandle slam, only got 2. Rhea ducked a kick by Becky and then hit Riptide, but Becky kicked out of Riptide, and Rhea couldn't believe it. Becky came back with a superplex, transitioned immediately into a disarmor. Ripley hoisted her up into an electric chair position. So Becky tried to fling Rhea out over the top rope. They ended up both going out over the top. Rhea lands on her feet and still has Becky on her shoulders, and then finally drops backwards and drops her on the ground. So back inside, Rhea followed with a frog splash, only got 2. Becky tried a manhandle slam off the middle rope. Ripley, though, blocked it, and Rhea gave Becky a Riptide onto the top turnbuckle pad, and then gave her a normal Riptide on the mat, and pinned her to retain the championship. Rhea Ripley is still your women's world champion here coming out of WrestleMania. I thought that this was a great opener. I enjoyed it. Again, could they have had a better match? Could it have been a more exciting match? Sure, it could have been better. But again, I'm also factoring in the fact that Becky came into this match ill. And for somebody who came into this match ill, especially, I thought that she did fine. I enjoyed the match, and it's a win for Rhea Ripley 1 year after she beat another member of the so-called horsewomen, Charlotte Flair, at WrestleMania last year. This was not the classic that Rhea had with Charlotte Flair last year. That's not what this was. But I still thought they went out there and had a very good match. And it was the right call. It was the right call to have Rhea Ripley retain that championship. Her star is still rising. She was the more popular of the two. I mean, just gauging by crowd reaction here. And this is not the case just in Philadelphia. I mean, this is pretty much the case almost every week, honestly, in the build-up to this match. You know, Rhea Ripley would come out. She would get these incredible reactions. The people love her. But there's a very big problem here. The elephant in the room that needs to be addressed, which is that while I am happy to see Rhea retain, and I think it's the right move, the question now shifts to now what? Because one of the biggest problems, not even one of, the biggest problem of Rhea Ripley's year-long title run so far, and I don't blame her, it's not her fault. She's doing everything right. She's doing everything they ask of her. She has a huge presence on Raw every week as part of the Judgment Day. They are the, dominant heel group on the show. There's no competition for her. The Raw women's division has a lot of bodies in it. A lot of them are doing the tag team thing, going after the women's tag team titles. They took Shayna Baszler and put her with Zoe Stark. And then we have Tegan Nox and Natalya. And we have Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. And we have Kaden Carter and Katana Chance and so on and so forth. So you get a lot of that. There are no credible challengers left after Becky Lynch at this exact moment for Rhea Ripley on Monday Night Raw. And that has to change, because if she's going to continue on for another 6 months, 9 months, 12 months as the women's world champion, you need people for her to go in there and believably work with. And she just doesn't have that right now. Now, Triple H mentioned in one of his interviews this week that the draft is coming back. He said in about a month or so. And that's also a new thing with Triple H. Very different than the Vince McMahon era. Another positive change. I can never understand why the draft was always in October. Seriously, October, November. And back, you go back a few years before they brought War Games to the main roster. We had Raw versus SmackDown every year at Survivor Series. And it was so stupid because you would have a draft. And then not long after the draft, almost immediately after, it's like, well, we have to have Raw versus SmackDown. So you got the blue shirts and the red shirts. And we're supposed to believe that this person is loyal to this brand and this person is loyal to that brand. Sometimes you'd have people who were on the show for maybe a few weeks. It was a tired, stupid concept that needed to go away. But it always made sense in my mind to save the draft for right after WrestleMania. April, May, sometime around then. That's what Triple H did last year. That's what he's going to do again this year because it makes sense. So keep that in mind that we have a draft coming up very soon. This is going to be an opportunity for him to bring over some much needed new blood to that Monday Night Raw roster. And when I think of if there was one name that I think would make sense to bring over, it's Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair, and it's very possible that Bianca Belair could be drafted to Monday Night Raw in a few weeks. If they have this draft, she could be picked, and she could be migrating from blue to red. Because Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, and I've said this for a while, that is the money match. That, to me, really should be the 41 match. 41's a long time off, though. Right? We're not even done with 40. And I'm already thinking ahead to 40. There's been a lot of talk about 41, right? Rock and Roman. What's Punk going to do on that show? Who's he going to wrestle? Is it going to be Roman? Is it going to be Seth? So I'm thinking, okay, 41, Rhea and Bianca, right? Makes all the sense in the world. But do we really need Rhea Ripley to go another year as the women's champion? At a time when we have Roman Reigns for 3.5 years, the undisputed champion. We had Gunther, 666 days as the Intercontinental Champion. We have Rhea Ripley, 1 year and counting now, as the Women's World Heavyweight Champion. Longer title reigns in doses here and there are fine. I thought the run that Gunther had was great. Roman Reigns was built up as like this final boss until the real final boss came back. Now Roman Reigns is not the final boss. It's like you think back to those Super Mario games, Super Mario World and stuff like that. You'd have Bowser at the very end. But then before Bowser, you'd have to go to each castle. And you'd have Lemmy and you'd have all these, little dweebs that you'd have to beat. It's kind of what Roman Reigns has become. He's become like the Lemmy right before you get to Bowser at the end. But do we really need all of these long, extended title runs at the same time? It's okay to do a title change every now and then. To me, it makes it more interesting. So I can envision Bianca being traded to Raw. You do Bianca and Rhea at SummerSlam. You could do a title change there. Rhea's so over and so popular, and Bianca, frankly, I think is due for a heel turn. I think she'd be great at it. Maybe we get a double turn at some point. Imagine that. And Bianca takes the belt in August, and then Rhea has to work her way back up, and you could still do the match at 41. Only it's Rhea in the chase position. Why not? Why do you need to keep the belt on her for 2 years? So I'm hoping there's some kind of change coming very soon. That's one possible change that they could go with. Charlotte Flair is another name who could very well end up being traded. If Andrade is going to stay on Raw, I could see Charlotte being traded from SmackDown to Raw. I don't want to see Rhea and Charlotte again as soon as Charlotte comes back. That's not an option. They shouldn't just go back to Charlotte Flair. I'm not a big fan of that option. That's not the answer. I think that Liv Morgan is going to be a challenger for Rhea Ripley in the interim. Rhea Ripley is going to need 1 or 2 people to work with and to beat between now and SummerSlam. Liv Morgan would make sense because she's got history with Rhea Ripley. Liv Morgan is not the answer either. I'm sorry to all the Liv Morgan fans out there. It's not her, right? It's just she's not the one. So she won't beat her to win the championship, but they could work together. Yeah, that would make sense. But whatever he chooses to do, Triple H has got to do something to repair that division. If this woman is going out there and mowing people down and mowing all the big names down, right? First Charlotte, now Becky. Who's next? You've got to make some moves. We had the 6-pack ladder match up next for the Undisputed Tag Team Championship with the Judgment Day. Finn Balor and Damian Priest defending their titles against The New Day, DIY, Awesome Truth, New Catch Republic, and A-Town Down Under. Want to take a moment here to welcome the nearly 3,000 of you tuning in to this WrestleMania Night #1 review. I am the Solomonster. I thank you very much for spending part of your night with me. This match, in case you didn't know, was sponsored by Wheatley American Vodka. They made that very clear. So we had vodka branding all around ringside on the LED boards, outside the ring, and the barricades, and, you know, between that, and they were bright, too. Like, the LED signs, like, on the side of the ring were fucking bright as hell. So you got that, and then you have the Prime bottle in the middle of the ring here. They are going all out with, like, sensory overload with all of these different sponsorships and the branding all over ringside. Like, I understand them wanting to do more of that to make that money, right? Hey, make that bag, go ahead. But I do think you get to a point where it is sensory overload. You may have to dial it back just a little bit, right? Maybe ease people into it. So we had the red belts suspended above the ring on one side. We had the blue belts suspended above the ring on the other side, next to each other. And they announced that if you retrieve one set of titles, the match then continues until the other set is retrieved. So pretty much what we expected going into this, where you could potentially have one team pull down one set of belts, and they're the new champions, but then a different team pulls down a different set, and they win those titles. And therefore, the titles would be split. So we knew that coming in. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, they entered with DX-style graphics on screen, paying tribute to their heroes. They were paying tribute to Shawn Michaels and Triple H. It looked like they were out there cosplaying as Shawn Michaels and Triple H, if you put them in the dryer. And Gargano even had their gear, everything. Gargano had the cowboy hat on as he came to the ring. I was happy for them, though, because this is their first WrestleMania. So good for them. I think that call-up was long overdue for the two of them. There was a spot here in this match where Tyler Bate picked up Finn Balor. And, Tyler Bate does the airplane spin. So Balor now is on his shoulders, and he's got a ladder that he's holding up against his chest, flat. And Tyler Bate is spinning him around until Kofi Kingston gets into the ring, because he sees this. And so, of course, any rational human being would see someone spinning a giant ladder around and say, you know what I need to do? I need to walk directly into that. And that's exactly what Kofi Kingston did. And of course, he got wrecked with the ladder and taken out like an idiot. I don't know. I mean, my God. Hey, how about the next time you take a helicopter flight? Why don't you walk into the propellers and see what happens? What an idiot. So Bate made a play for one set of belts when Damian Priest launched Pete Dunne into the ladder, which caused a very rough landing for Pete Dunne. Priest and Balor were in the ring when R-Truth started reaching out for a tag, and they just looked at him like he was a moron. One of the other wrestlers ended up tagging in Truth, and he hit John Cena's signature spots on Balor, covered him for a pin that Truth counted himself, because he thought pinfalls were allowed, evidently, in this match. Truth then got up and celebrated. The Miz informed him that, hey, we got to pull the belts down to win this match. So Gargano super kicked Priest, and Ciampa hit Priest with a pedigree. Woo-wings! Hey, Base Beerus, thank you for the woo-wings. Those will go well with the Jack and Coke that I have sitting over here. WrestleMania is a Jack and Coke night. I was in Philadelphia. I was not at WrestleMania, but I had things to do in Philadelphia the last couple of days. And so I stayed overnight, and I was exhausted by the time I was done on Thursday. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go downstairs to the bar, and I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to get myself a Jack and Coke. And I go, and the woman says, just out of Jack. I said, are you fucking kidding me? I didn't say that to her, but I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I was stuck with water. So I'm enjoying my Jack and Coke here. So Gargano super kicked Priest, and Ciampa hit Priest with a pedigree, as I said. Truth then suggested to DIY, you guys go after one set of belts, and then Miz and I'll go after the other. And they liked that idea, so they started to scamper up separate ladders to go after each set of belts. They got knocked off the ladders, though, by Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Waller climbed up the ladder. He pulled down the SmackDown Tag Team titles 7 minutes into the match. Just like that. And Samantha Irvin announces that the new SmackDown Tag Team champions are Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Prediction number 1 from my WrestleMania predictions come true. Okay, so we now have new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. The titles are split at this moment unless they also pull down the Raw belts, in which case they would be undisputed again. So the match continues. Bate and Dunn, they hit a double-team powerbomb that sent Waller over the top rope and through a ladder bridge. There was a ladder that was set up from the apron across onto the announce desk. And he took a hard landing. He crashed through the ladder. DIY then created a ladder bridge inside the ring after setting up 2 tables out on the floor. Ciampa ended up laid out, though, across the ladder that was wedged between the standing ladder and the middle rope. And then Xavier Woods hit his springboard elbow from the other side of the ring, and he dropped the elbow onto him. Kofi Kingston then hit a trust fall dive onto a group of wrestlers out on the floor. So then Xavier Woods made a play for the tag team belts. Theory, though, cut him off and threw him out to the floor. Theory climbs the ladder. Tyler Bate, though, and Pete Dunne, they pull him down, and they hit him with their Birmingham Hammer finish. It got basically a negative reaction, which was kind of sad. But they hit their finish. Then Gargano, and now this is where the craziness began here. Johnny Gargano, at this point, he leaps over the top rope, and he grabs Pete Dunne on the way down. He puts Pete Dunne through the table outside the ring with a DDT. He DDT'd this fucking guy through the table. I mean, he went head first right through it, and they land on the floor. Then, in the ring, Ciampa is up on this giant ladder, and Tyler Bate is up there. And Ciampa gets him hooked in position for an air raid crash from the top of the ladder. Or, nearly the top of the ladder. And that was a hard landing for Tyler Bate. But it was also a hard landing for Tommaso Ciampa. And I watched something like that and I go, what a fucking moron. It took as much out of him as it did Tyler Bate. Now, psychologically, you think about this. You're in a ladder match. And I think that the ring was empty of everybody else at that point. I mean, he could have knocked him off. There's any number of things that Ciampa could have done. He's like, you know what I think I'll do? I think I'm going to dive off basically backwards. And I'm going to land on my ass and my hip. And that way I'll take this guy out, and then I will just lay there because I will be in so much agony I can't get up. So, of course, that's exactly what happened. So now R-Truth gets into the ring. And R-Truth is all alone. And the fans love R-Truth, right? So the fans are cheering. They want him to climb the ladder. He sets one up. He's climbing. Here comes JD McDonough. And he pulls R-Truth down into the, and I forgot what he calls it. The name slipped my mind. But his finish where he yanks you up and takes you back, basically with a back suplex. So he lays him out. McDonough then helps Balor to his feet and starts to pull him up the ladder. So McDonough's on one side, Balor's on the other, very slowly making his way up because he's hurt. Xavier Woods cuts off Balor. Kofi Kingston works him over with some chair shots. And then the New Day tipped the ladder over, and McDonough crashes through the tables that had been set up on the floor. Then Priest drops Kofi Kingston with a razor's edge on top of a chair that was laying on the mat. That takes care of Kofi. Priest begins to climb the ladder. Here comes The Miz. And he's rushing up the other side of the ladder. Miz, though, gets his hand on one of the belts. Priest grabs him by the throat. He's going to go for the South of Heaven chokeslam off the ladder. And The Miz, it got botched. And maybe it was Miz's fault. I don't know. Yes, thank you. The devil inside. That's what he calls it. The devil inside. So he was supposed to chokeslam him off the ladder. Basically what happened is The Miz threw himself off. So it looked terrible. So down goes The Miz. Priest sets up another ladder because this one was bent. It was all wobbly and shit, so he threw that one away. And he starts climbing the ladder, and he gets his hand on one of the belts. R-Truth is in, though, and R-Truth tips the ladder over. And then, now he didn't fall out of the ring, but he fell down off the ladder. Truth then hits an attitude adjustment that sends Priest out over the top rope to the floor. R-Truth sets the ladder up, he climbs, and he unhooks both Raw Tag Team title belts to win the championship for his team. Awesome Truth are the new Raw Tag Team Champions, and The Miz, the man who did the least amount of work in this contest, is now a Tag Team Champion. And so the titles are undisputed no more. They are now split. I am not thrilled about this. I know some people are very happy about this. They've been waiting for them to split the tag team titles. I am not one of those people. I believe that the tag team division unified as one is stronger than the individual divisions that we now have on Raw and SmackDown. And I feel like we're right back in the same position we were before the titles were unified, where they just didn't have enough teams individually on either brand to justify having two sets of tag team titles instead of having one set of champions who float, which is what the Judgment Day has been doing. So I would not have split the belts yet. I still think they have some more work to do there. But I nailed my predictions on this one. I picked two winners for this match. Waller in theory, Miz and R-Truth. Raw tag champs, SmackDown tag champs, that's exactly what we got. This was tailor-made for R-Truth to get his moment. It just feels like this is what it's been building to now for months. I didn't know they were going to do a ladder match. I thought it would be awesome Truth and the Judgment Day straight up. They wanted to get more people on the show, and so that's what they did. I did not realize until they mentioned it on commentary that R-Truth, for all the years he's spent in this company and in the business, was winless at WrestleMania coming into tonight. So this was actually R-Truth's very first not just tag team title win, but his first win of any kind at a WrestleMania, which is very cool. And he had a big smile on his face. The fans were happy with the outcome. He was happy. And so it was cool to see him get his moment. So much for all the talk, by the way, last year about how there is a new set of tag team title belts, like one set of undisputed tag belts that were made. I guess if they were, they're sitting in a warehouse somewhere, I suppose, because we never got to see them. Unfortunately, frankly, I think the current belts, even if they're split now, we could use new tag belts regardless. I would like to see that. This match was the usual car crash that you get in these ladder matches. Whatever you would envision it being is exactly what it was. This did not have as much heat as you would expect. And unfortunately, this was a common theme from this point on for a good chunk of the matches that were on this show. And these guys are out there killing themselves, doing the usual high spots. And, for like the highest of high spots, the people would pop, but like they really just didn't seem to care. And they're out there throwing themselves around and hitting each other with ladders and chairs and stuff. And I don't know, it just felt to me like there was a lot of dead spots in this match. I was not a big fan of this. I mean, I thought it was fine for what it was supposed to be. It's not a match where you expect a lot of story and psychology. So, I mean, you got the high spots if that's what you're into. I personally was not a huge fan of this match. But I will say, Gargano and Ciampa, as it relates to Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, holy shit. Holy shit. I don't know what these men did to DIY. I don't know if they must owe them money or something. I mean, those spots that they did with the DDT through the table, the air raid crash from the top of the ladder, my God. Normally if somebody owes you money, you don't kill the person because then you don't get paid. So I don't know what their beef was with these guys. But yeah, they put them through the ringer here, that's for sure. I just hope everyone came out of the match in one piece. Tyler Bate took a pretty hard bump on that air raid crash. Hopefully no one's concussed and everything is okay. Everyone's healthy. But there's another key element to this. The Judgment Day have lost the tag team titles, which now clears the way for Damian Priest to try to get his hands on some other gold tomorrow night. We'll talk about that later. We had another tag team match up next, which was Rey Mysterio and Andrade against Santos Escobar and Dirty Dominik Mysterio. If you're wondering what the hell happened to Dragon Lee, on SmackDown last night, they ran an angle where Dragon Lee was attacked. He was ambushed by a mystery assailant in the back. We didn't see it go down. The only thing we saw was that Carlito was the first person on the scene. And he was also screaming, "What happened? I don't know what happened." And everybody crowded around, and poor Dragon Lee was taken out. And then later in the show, Andrade offered his services to Rey and said, "I'll be your partner." So that's how we ended up with Andrade in this match. Carlito, there's got to be a heel turn coming soon. I was expecting something tonight. Did not happen on this show. Andrade held Rey on his shoulders, and they did a double diving crossbody from the top rope onto the heels on the floor early in the match, which was unique. I don't think I've ever seen that before. There was also a funny moment on commentary here where Michael Cole said that Rey beat Dom last year. And Corey Graves said, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. I like that line. Escobar took over on Rey, and they worked him over until he hit a code red. Andrade tagged in. He hit Dom with a running double knee strike. And that double step moonsault he does where he lands on his feet, hits a standing moonsault. Dom came back with a neck breaker, so both men tagged out. Rey dropped Escobar with a seated senton. He sent Dom out of the ring. He hit Escobar with a 619. Andrade wiped out Dom with a moonsault on the floor that mostly missed. Angel and Humberto, part of Legado del Fantasma. They distracted Rey, which allowed Escobar to hit a Hurricane Rana off the top row for 2. Then everybody not involved in this match. So you had Angel and Humberto, and you had Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. They're all getting involved and doing all kinds of moves until they did the Joaquin Wilde spot from NXT many months ago with the other members of the LWO. While Wilde was standing on the middle rope, they propelled him forward, and he soared. He got some good distance, wiped out the heels in the aisleway. Dominik grabbed a steel chair outside the ring when all of a sudden we had 2 big white dudes in Philadelphia now they were Eagles colors, Eagles inspired lucha masks. Okay, they show up from out of nowhere. They grab Dom, they stop him, they throw him into the ring post, and then they throw him into the ring. So Rey then hits Dom and Escobar at the same time with a 619. Andrade takes out Dom with his double underhook twisting finish that he calls the message. And Rey hits Escobar with a top rope splash for the win. After the match, the masked men are summoned into the ring, and they get inside, and they pull their masks off to reveal themselves as Jason Kelce, who just recently retired from the NFL, and Lane Johnson, who still plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. So look, it's the Kelce not dating Taylor Swift. They were able to bring him in and get him for WrestleMania. It might have popped the fans in the stadium. I'll be honest with you, I couldn't care less. I really couldn't care less. Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, Lane Bryant, I don't give a shit. It just did nothing for me. Actually, what it did was it brought the match down for me, because I watched this and I'm like, all right, so now we know why they just out of nowhere, they suddenly decided to program Rey and Dom together with no build, no story. They had their match at WrestleMania last year. They kept them apart. And it was a few weeks ago, out of nowhere, all of a sudden, Dominik is interfering in his father's match, costing him his match against Escobar. And it all felt very rushed and out of nowhere. And I guess this played into why. You know, they had some spot planned, and they said, all right, this is what we're going to do here. And like I said, it got a pop out of the crowd, but I didn't care. And I recognized Kelce. I didn't recognize the other guy at first. So I'm like, all right, it's Kelce and his friend. Again, maybe you had to be an Eagles fan, right? Fuck that. Not here. We're not doing that here. The match itself, though, it wasn't just the finish. The match itself, it's like they did the bare minimum of what you would have expected them to do. I mean, given the 4 talents involved in this match, I was expecting more. We didn't get that. So I thought this was overall a disappointment. The Carlito turn is coming, though. Just because we didn't get it tonight does not mean that it's coming. If Dragon Lee is the newest member of the LWO, and they have Rey, and they have Wilde, and they have Del Toro, and they have Zelina, Andrade, we don't know what his status now going forward is going to be. He's on Raw. Then Carlito is kind of the odd man out here. You know, because clearly, I mean, it seems to me the angle is going to be that, you know, he took out Dragon Lee. And with the hope that he would get his spot at WrestleMania, because he was already overlooked. He wanted to be on that WrestleMania card. Why wouldn't he want to be on the WrestleMania card? Instead of going with the guy that was right there, Rey decides to bring in somebody completely new. So then he takes that guy out thinking, all right, I'm going to get his spot. And then instead he gives it to Andrade, who's not even on the fucking show. If I were Carlito, I'd be cracking some skulls. So it's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. Shout out to everybody tuned in right now. All 3,200 of you. I appreciate the support very much. Thank you for all of the super chats that have already come in and that are going to be popping up here. Very much appreciated. It's been a very busy week. Oh boy, it just got busier.
All this money on me. Hey,
I know that guy.
I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A Rock. You rock.
The Rock.
And I just wanted you to know that.
We're going to talk about The Rock. Hey, Bobby's World just dropped a $100 super chat bomb. Hey, Joey Perez, I see you. He says, I'm here. I'm here. Hey, Bobby, I didn't read the whole message, but apparently I read enough of it to wish you well. Hopefully you are feeling better very soon. Holy shit, though. Thank you for the $100 bomb. Again, I'm going to be getting to your messages here in just a little bit, so hang tight. Because we got to talk about brother versus brother. Brother. This was Hulk Hogan's favorite match of the night right here. They should have sponsored it by Hulk Hogan. We had Jimmy Uso on one side. We had Jey Uso on the other side. They introduced Lil Wayne. At first I wrote Lil John, but it was Lil Wayne. They introduced him. He came out, and they introduced him as the greatest rapper of all time. Now, I'm in no position personally to give an opinion one way or the other on that. I will leave that to you guys. If you guys think that Lil Wayne is the greatest rapper of all time, that's for you to debate. But he came out on stage, and I will say this. If he is the greatest rapper of all time, he didn't show it tonight. He came out on stage, it was like a dying animal. He was screeching. I don't know if he's sick. I don't know if that's the way he always sounds. I mean, I've heard his music before. I don't know what the deal is, but he came out there, and I thought he sounded like shit. So then Jey Uso interrupts him, thank God, the biggest babyface in the stadium. He comes out, and Lil Wayne comes down to the ring with him. Jimmy entered second, so he came down to the ring. Got wiped out, though, on a dive before he could even get inside. So I thought, okay, this is how you start a brother versus brother sibling rivalry match, right? You don't do a lockup. You don't do chain wrestling, right? Jey should go right after Jimmy. Jimmy cost him the Intercontinental title, cost him the tag team titles, cost him the Undisputed Championship at SummerSlam inexplicably last year. Jey Uso should want to come out here and rip this guy, even though he's his brother, he should want to come out here and rip this guy's head off, right? So it started with some promise here, with the dive out of the ring. And that was the high spot of the entire match. Jimmy took control after an ugly Samoan drop. Then he hit repeated super kicks. And when I say repeated super kicks, I do mean repeated super kicks. And then Jimmy mocks Jay's pose. He goes for a splash. Jey dodged it, though, and hit a super kick. So then they traded right hands, which was a nice break from the super kicks. That led to chants of yeet and no yeet. They exchanged super kicks again. Jey got the better of the exchange. Jey then hit multiple super kicks. I mean, the notes, I will say, the notes that I kept on this match, easiest of the entire show. This was the easiest 2 paragraphs, if that I put together for anything on this frickin' document here. So Jey hit multiple super kicks, and then he hit a leaping super kick. It's just unbelievable. You know, and I've made this comment before. I have said that if the Usos and the Young Bucks, if they ever have a match together, I would want there to be a stipulation that barred all super kicks, because I would be so curious to see what kind of match they could actually pull off if they did not have the crutch of the constant super kicks. And everybody does them, right? I mean, the super kicks have been abused for years and years and years. But like the Bucks and the Usos are the worst offenders out of anybody. But everybody does it now. But if you took that weapon away from them, what would they have left? What would the Usos do? Would they just do Samoan drops for the entire match? Spears? Splashes? That's it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So Jey went for one more kick. Jimmy, though, held his hand up like this, and he asked for forgiveness from his brother. He was begging off like a good heel. Jey stopped short of kicking him in the face. Jimmy said that he was sorry for everything. This was the cinema portion, as the kids call it. This was the cinema portion of this match here. The crowd was mostly quiet for the match. This is where they started to at least get a little bit engaged because they were trying to convince Jey not to buy into it. Don't do it. Don't believe him. Don't pardon him. So Jey helped his brother to his feet, and the crowd booed, and then Jimmy super kicked him because of course he did. And then he went up to the top. He hit the Uso splash. Jey kicked out. Jey came back with a spear and an Uso splash of his own and picked up the win. If this all sounds very uneventful, the way I've described it, it's because it was. It was very uneventful. This match was a huge disappointment. And even though there has only been 3 of them in the history of WrestleMania, this was the worst of any of the sibling matches that we have had in WrestleMania history. Brett Owen, this was not. Even Matt and Jeff at WrestleMania 25, and I wasn't even a huge fan of that. This is number 3. Now, you forget the crowd for a second, right? Because as I mentioned, the crowd reaction was lacking for a lot of things on this show. But put that on the side for a second. Let's just talk about the actual match itself. I just thought the match was dull. Now, for a feud that's been built up for such a long period of time here, and you have Jey Uso, who, again, has been screwed by his brother at every turn, right? Betrayed by his own flesh and blood. A blood feud without the blood. But that's basically what this was. And they built this up for so many months. Think of how long the story has been building to this moment. And you put these guys out there at WrestleMania, and these guys have talked very openly about how they've dreamt about this match their entire lives. That's why they did it. It was their dream to one day be able to wrestle, not as partners, but against each other at WrestleMania. And here they finally got the opportunity, and you would think that this would have had more heat to it. There'd be more intensity. They would try things maybe they've never tried before. This was paint by number shit. This is any television match you would put on Raw any given Monday night and see, only without the commercials. So this was, to me, this was a massive disappointment here, especially with the story going into it. And the finish was a surprise to me because I thought that Jimmy would go over. I thought Jey Uso is the over one right now. Jay's got everything. He's got glasses. He's got all kinds of merch, right? He's got yeet. He's got t-shirts. He's got tremendous fan support. Jimmy is the one who could really use this win more than Jey. And you've got a pay-per-view coming up in France in about a month called Backlash. So I just figured, all right, Jimmy's probably going to get the win. This probably isn't going to be one and done. And they'll extend it at least until Backlash. We'll probably get a second match. Now, they can do that anyway. We could still get Jimmy and Jey round 2. I just don't see what the point is. I mean, I guess Jimmy could win round 2. They could keep it going even longer. So even the finish was surprising to me. But whatever, finish with Jimmy winning or Jey winning is almost irrelevant. The match just wasn't good. And if they are going to run this back again, maybe they could run it with a stip. They could do some kind of hardcore type match or bloodline rules type of match. Have the smoke and mirrors and weapons and maybe make it a little more interesting because when this was over, I just said, man, that's it? For all the build to this? This is the best that you could do? It's very disappointing. So at this point in the show, the announcers complained about how cold it was. I mentioned earlier, Michael Cole had a hat on. Corey Graves had gloves on. And Pat McAfee thought that the two of them looked ridiculous. Oh, we haven't seen anything yet. As far as somebody looking ridiculous. Wait until we get to the main event of this show. Corey Graves and Michael Cole look like runway models compared to what we got in the main event. We had Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi taking on Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai representing Damage Control. Jade, Bianca, and Naomi had a very cool entrance. They were lowered from a lift very slowly. They had a spotlight on them. They turned the stadium lights down, and they had dramatic music playing in the background. So they lowered the lift until it was level with the stage, and then one by one, each woman would walk off the lift, and they would get their proper entrance. So Jade walked off first, They played her music. They put the spotlight on her. Then they played Naomi's music and she stepped off. And same thing with Bianca. And then all three of them walked to the ring shoulder to shoulder. So I thought it was a very cool entrance. Kairi hit an insane elbow drop outside the ring on a standing Naomi early in the match. Later on, Bianca hit all three women with a handspring moonsault, landed right across all three of them, had the cover, but they kicked out. The crowd wanted the tag to Jade, and Bianca teased it. Dakota, though, grabbed her by the braid and yanked her back, so they kind of milked that for a little bit. Eventually, though, Bianca did get the hot tag, and the crowd reacted big. When Jade tagged into the match, she came in, she dropped Asuka and Kairi, or Asuka and Dakota, actually. Then she caught Kairi out of midair, hit a backbreaker. Everybody traded moves until Asuka went to go missed the babyface, and she misted Kairi by accident. This got no reaction. And I think it got no reaction because it was actually hard to tell at first. Like, even watching it on TV, just from the camera angle, I couldn't tell right away that she had been misted, because I could see Asuka spitting something, but Kairi had her back turned. So I think it was just a situation where people just didn't know, but it got no reaction. Kairi really didn't even sell it. Like, she got misted and just stood there for a few seconds. So Bianca dropped Asuka with a KOD. Jade then finished off Dakota with the Jaded, and she won the match for her team. Jade Cargill, successful in her very first WrestleMania. I thought the match was fine. Again, it felt like a TV match. I do like the visual, though, as they were walking to the ring, and you had Jade, she had the silver hair, and Bianca and Naomi with all the colors and everything. So I thought they looked like a good trio. But this match was designed for one purpose. I mean, make no mistake about it. One purpose this match was designed for, other than to get more people on the show. Jade Cargill looks like a comic book hero come to life. She is, I mean, you just look at her and she looks like, unlike anybody else that you see on the roster, okay? She looks like a star. She is going to be a massive star for them. The goal here was to make her look as good and as dominant and as much like a star as they possibly could. And I said, even coming into it, I said, this is the best possible situation for her. To put her in a tag team match, you hide her on the apron so that she can get the hot tag. You tease it, you milk it, right? Naomi's in trouble or Bianca's in trouble and they're going for the tag, right? But they keep getting yanked away. And then finally, when Jade gets the tag, everybody reacts, which they did. She comes in, she puts a beating on them, and you give her the win in the end. And that's exactly what they did. They played it exactly the way that they should have. And I thought that for what it was supposed to be, I thought it was fine. Meanwhile, we had not one, but two streaks were extended in this match. Now, do you know what these streaks are? On the one hand, Bianca Belair continues her undefeated streak in singles or tag matches at WrestleMania. She was on a pre-show battle royal many years ago. That doesn't count. She wasn't even on the main roster at that point. She is undefeated at WrestleMania. Asuka's streak also continues. Asuka has the opposite streak going on, where Asuka remains winless at WrestleMania. She now advances. Now, what is it? Is it 0-7? I've seen 0-6, 0-7. I think she's 0-7 in WrestleMania matches, is Asuka. There's always next year. She's got the reverse Undertaker streak going. It'll have to be another year. Something that Asuka and the New York Mets have in common. There's always next year. We had Gunther against Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. Now we're cooking now. Now we're cooking with oil. I'm thinking to myself, this show has to pick up here. The show has been okay. This is not WrestleMania, though. When do we get into the WrestleMania matches here? When does it start to really feel like WrestleMania? Right here. Now, they started in the back. Sami Zayn is getting all pumped up and ready for his match when his wife approaches him, and she has their young son with her as well. Sami tells his wife to keep their son backstage because he doesn't want him to see what's about to happen. So Chad Gable then, after he walks away from his wife, he's trying to make his way to the ring. He bumps into Chad Gable. who's back there in his suit. And he just assumed that Gable was coming out to the ring with him because Gable has been training him and getting him ready for this match. And Gable says, no. This time you're going to go it alone. Because you're not going to go out there with me? After everything that we've been doing lately, he goes, you don't need me. He says, you got this one all by yourself. So Gable shook his hand and Sami continued to walk and the camera followed him. He was on his way to Gorilla. He was walking through a tunnel and they haven't played his music yet. It was kind of a unique shot. I liked it. And then right before he gets into the Gorilla position, he bumps into Kevin Owens, who is standing there waiting for him. And Kevin Owens gives him a shove and then he hugs him and he gets him all fired up. And then Sami makes his way into the Gorilla position. They play his music and out through the curtain. And again, one constant camera shot. And it followed him out onto the stage. So I like that. I like this whole thing, actually. The stuff with the family and everything. I thought that was great. So Gunther had Sami early down with a suplex, picked him up and blasted him with a chop. Zayn's wife was shown cheering for him from the front row. And she's always very animated. You know, whenever they show her in the front row. Last year when he wrestled Roman at Elimination Chamber, she was part of the story of the match, really. Because Roman would look down at her and he would like wink at her and laugh and smile. And she would talk shit back to him. But then like when Sami was in trouble, you know, they would cut to her and she looked concerned. So, like she knows how to play her role in these situations. She's actually very good. So Zayn fires away with strikes, hits a pair of half and half suplexes. Gunther shoots back up, turns Sami inside out on a clothesline. So Sami rallies with a tornado DDT. Gunther was slow to get up. And Zayn charged in for a haluva kick. Gunther, though, catches him in a sleeper hold. Sami gets out. Gunther blocks a blue thunderbomb attempt. Sami tried again. Gunther countered into another sleeper. And he's reaching for the ropes. Gunther suplexes him. So now Gunther charges at him, and Sami puts him down with an exploder. Gunther comes right back with a drop kick and a power bomb. Goes for a pin. Only got two. So Gunther waits for Zayn to get back up to his feet, and then he hits him with a big boot in the corner. And then the champion looks down at Sami's wife, and he smiles. And then he goes right back to the opposite corner, but Sami followed him in and catches him with a haluva kick. Got a good near fall out of that. Zayn goes for another kick. Gunther, though, cuts him off with a clothesline. Again, turns him inside out. So the champion powerbombs Sami once, picks him up again, powerbombs him twice, hard. The back of his head hit hard on the mat. Only got a near fall. So now Gunther is in disbelief because he thought he had this guy dead to rights. He's like, what do I have to do to put this guy away? So then he talks some shit over to, or towards Sami's wife. And she's yelling back at him. Like I said before, she plays her role perfectly. She knows how to react. She knows what to do. Gunther puts Sami down again, and he's inviting his wife to get into the ring to help him up. Gunther powerbombs Sami again. Then he turns his focus back to Zayn's wife. This entire time, you have Michael Cole and Corey Graves, and they're on commentary, and they're just yelling basically at referee Eddie Orengo to call this match off. Like, you got to put a stop to this. This is ridiculous. And the referee keeps asking Sami, are you okay? You know, checking on him and stuff. But Michael Cole is really like putting this over big. Like, you got to stop this match. It's like the Rocky IV thing, you know? It felt like Drago and Apollo Creed situation here. Like, this man is going to die in the middle of the ring. I really thought Chad Gable was going to come out. This beating was going to continue until Gable came running down with a towel, and he was going to tease throwing the towel in. But we never saw Chad Gable. They kept it one-on-one. There was no Imperium. There was no Chad Gable. There was nothing. Just a clean match. So now Gunther goes up top, and he hits a splash off the top. Then he goes up top and hits another one. Gunther went to the apron. He smiled, and he was suggesting that Sami's wife be the one to throw in the towel. Meanwhile, Sami starts firing up. He's like hulking up here. He's pounding on the mat. The fans now were getting into it. And Gunther goes to the ropes. He gets caught with a haluva kick, though, as he's climbing the ropes. Sami then hits a super brain buster. And he drops Gunther down headfirst on the top turnbuckle. And I shrieked when I saw this. The same way that I shrieked when I saw Takeshita do the same thing to Will Ospreay when they had their match at Revolution. That was even scarier. Because Ospreay basically missed the top turnbuckle and hit his back and scraped his back. And I thought he was fucking dead. So I saw this. Now, this is a move that Sami would use on the independent scene. He may not have used that move since then. I mean, it's possible he used it in NXT once. I just don't remember. But he busted that out from somewhere deep buried within. And obviously, it got a big reaction from the announcers. It got a big reaction from me. It got a big reaction from the crowd. Probably the biggest of any single thing on the show up to this point. And Sami, though, sees Gunther, who is staggering to his feet in the opposite corner. And Sami comes in, he blasts him with a haluva kick. And then he follows that up with one final kick. Down goes Gunther. And Sami makes the cover. He covers this man, gets the 3 count. And after 666 days, we have a new Intercontinental Champion. Sami Zayn ends the undefeated streak on the main roster, the undefeated streak of Gunther. He gets pinned for the very first time since being called up from NXT. Sami goes to ringside, hugs his wife, kisses his wife, celebrating with the belt back in the ring. This was excellent. This was an excellent match, and it was the first match to really wake up the crowd since the opener. They told a great story. This is why this works. This is why Sami Zayn is great at what he does. This is why Gunther is great at what he does. Because they can wrestle great. We know that. We know what they can do in the ring bell to bell. But they also know how to tell a great story. It would be impossible for these two to go out there and have anything but at least a good match. They went out there and had a great match. And everybody was behind Sami. Because again, it's such a simple story to tell. He's the underdog, right? Going in there. It's the Rocky story here in Philadelphia. Which actually reminds me, I thought maybe they would get Sylvester Stallone to be involved in some way. Or, do voiceovers for the opening video and stuff. And unless I missed something, I think there was some kind of scheduling conflict. There was a report a few weeks ago that they were trying, and I guess they didn't get him. So that's too bad. But the story was great. The action was great. Even Sami's wife played her role, I thought, to perfection. Really, everybody in this match did. But I am conflicted on the outcome. I am conflicted on the outcome of this match because, going into it, this did not feel like a match that Sami Zayn should win. It didn't feel like he was the one. It didn't feel like the right time. It didn't feel, at least with him in there. If it was Chad Gable in there, then it would have been a different story. Because that's a story that had a great build to it going back to last fall, and they got away from it. And I feel like they squandered it. Not even really. They squandered it. Because now Gunther lost. He lost the match. He lost the title. The story's dead. That story for him is dead. And that was the story I was really hoping that they would go with. I justified it in my mind like, okay, well, if they don't want to take the title off of him, because if he was going to wrestle Brock Lesnar, if that was the original plan, which it was, by Gunther's own admission in an interview he did, that was the original plan. Are we really looking at a situation where Brock Lesnar was going to beat him and win the Intercontinental title? Because that would have been fucking stupid. Of all the people that could use the rub from that first win over Gunther and to hold the Intercontinental title, Brock Lesnar, what the fuck does he need that for? He already beat the streak. Isn't that enough? So I kind of look at it like that, but I also look at it and say, did Sami need it? Did Sami Zayn need that? Or could somebody else like a Chad Gable have benefited more from it? I believe the answer is yes. They opted to go in a different direction. Another reason why I was conflicted and a little disappointed that they did this is because I thought there was a better story with Sami and Gunther and doing a title change or handing him that first loss, not for the Intercontinental title, but doing it for the World Heavyweight title. And I was kind of hoping they would find a way to hold off on that maybe until next year and then come around to these two guys. Because there's a story there that's unresolved with Sami Zayn where he has to prove to himself that he could be a world champion. They were telling that story on TV for a while and they got away from it. So I just thought, man, that would have been so much better if he beats Gunther, but it's for the world title. But they didn't do it. But then I look at this and I go, you know what? I can't find any other fault with this match. It was easily the best match on the show up to this point. It may have been the best match on the show, period. But on the plus side, here are the positives. It frees up Gunther now to move up. Now he gets to level up. And he gets to go after the World Heavyweight title. And it won't be right away, probably. It may not be until SummerSlam, right? You got SummerSlam, you got Bash in Berlin later that month. If he's not champion by then, he will be, I'm sure, not long after. He's going to level up. He's going to be just fine, right? Him losing, it's not him losing that I had the issue with, because Gunther is going to be very protected under Triple H. I'm very confident that Triple H and the creative team, they know what they have in Gunther. He's going to be just fine. So now he can move on to that. And look, if the draft is coming up soon, and if Cody Rhodes is going to go to SmackDown as the undisputed WWE champion, Gunther could be traded to SmackDown, and we could get Cody and Gunther at some point, right? If they're not going to do Cody and Rock at SummerSlam, right? Maybe they do Cody and Gunther. So there's any number of ways they could go with that. But here's the other thing, as I try to look at the positives of what they've done here. They've killed the story with Gable and Gunther, but now they've created the potential for a new story with Gable and Zayn. Chad Gable made a comment to Sami Zayn in the back before he went out to the ring, and I didn't write down the exact verbiage, but it was something to the effect of either you owe me one or don't forget what you promised me. It was something like that. So my guess is we're going to come to find out, probably on Raw this Monday night, that Chad Gable was promised a title shot. Maybe to be the first man to get a shot at the title of Sami beat Gunther at WrestleMania, right? It's only fair. He helped him train for this match, right? He didn't want to get paid. He's like, look, I'll teach you what I know. I'll give you advice. I'll spar with you. I'll train with you. You got to promise me one thing. If you do what I could not do and you can beat this man and win that title, just promise me I get first crack at it, right? That's probably the story there. And I think we probably will end up with a Chad Gable heel turn. I think that may be the direction we're going in here. But I am thinking that Gable is going to get his hands on that title. It just may be as a heel. And he would be beating Sami Zayn instead of Gunther. I may turn around and look back on this 6 months from now. It may be a Randy Orton Christian situation all over again. Remember 2011? Christian wins the World Heavyweight title from Alberto Del Dipshit. They have that ladder match, right? He's the world champion. Everybody is so happy for him. Edge is happy for him because Edge had to surrender the belt due to injury. And then 48 hours later at the SmackDown tapings, he gets pinned by Randy Orton. And he loses the World Heavyweight title. And I remember the rants, and I think I was one of them, at that time, like, how could they do this? How could they do this to this man? He finally wins the World Heavyweight title, and just like that, they take it away from him. A few months go by. These men are feuding for months over the World Heavyweight title. I look back on that. That was, if not the feud of 2011, it's right there with Cena and Punk as one of the best things all year in 2011. They had incredible matches together. They had a great feud. Christian was a great heel. Christian is a great heel. Still is. Right? But it turned out okay in the end. That may end up being the situation with Gable. Yeah, with Gable and Zayn. We may look back on it and go, okay, you know what? Worked out better in the end. Because now they can go on and have a feud for months over the Intercontinental title. So let's see what they do. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic that Chad Gable this time will not get lost in the shuffle. And he'll end up better off on the end of it than he was here at the beginning of it. That's my hope. But this was great. This was excellent. Now, Samantha Irvin introduced the general manager of Raw and SmackDown, Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis. They were in the ring together. And Nick Aldis thanked the fans for being with them tonight here at Lincoln Financial Field. Thanked all the fans watching at home.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on
this person
me.
for dropping another bomb on me.
I think you rock.
M. Mills.
I don't mean The Rock,
coming in.
Rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
Boom! There it is. M. Mills dropping a $100 super chat. I don't believe there was any message there even. It was just a $100 bomb to say thank you. And I will say thank you to you and everybody else who has been dropping bombs on me. Boy, I think it's your goal to keep me up all night. You do realize I have a podcast to record tomorrow at some point. You're making this very difficult. But I love it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So why were they in the ring? Why were the two GMs in the ring? Well, it was to thank the fans and announce the attendance for this year's WrestleMania. Oh boy. It is bombs away. Oh man. It's a party, everybody.
We're having a party here on the show.
It's a party, everybody. Uffman Entertainment with a $200 super chat bomb. Oh boy. $200 bomb from Uffman. Killing it. Killing it. You know what the attendance was? They killed it for the attendance for WrestleMania. 72,543 people in the stadium for WrestleMania 40. I was going to say WrestleMania 39. I'm still thinking about last year. I enjoyed night one a lot more last year.
Rock in there with Roman Reigns. Oh, you Cody fans, you ruined it. You ruined it.
Deal with it. A Wes McGuffin with a $45 super chat drop there. It's one of the newer ones. Wes, thank you, man. Thank you very much. Woo boy. So yeah, 72,000 is what they claim. Now I saw what WrestleTix posted earlier. And WrestleTix said that it was right around 68,000. So that sounds about right. Yeah, maybe they exaggerated by a few thousand. I mean, it's not like in certain years past where, I mean, I just think back to WrestleMania in Dallas in 2016. Now, there were a lot of people in that building. I mean, I was way up there, but like there were a lot of people there. And they claimed 101,000. They didn't have 101,000. All right, but they'll exaggerate by 10, 20,000, right? It's like, this was not quite that level of exaggeration. But there were a lot of people in Lincoln Financial Field tonight. So probably freezing their ass off. You know who wasn't freezing his ass off? This guy. Because I wasn't sitting in the stadium. I was sitting right here for the main event, which is what we're about to talk about. We are up to the main event of this show. The biggest tag team match they claimed in WrestleMania history. It's hard to argue against it. Right? Probably is the biggest tag team match. Maybe not the most historically significant. That would still be the first one. But the biggest tag team match in WrestleMania history, sponsored by American Home Shield. In case you couldn't tell. You know how I know this? Because they had branding all over the ringside area. They had branding on the LED boards. They had branding on the ring posts. Even the main event. We can't get away from it. Cody Rhodes. And can you imagine if like Enron was still around? Like Enron sponsors the WrestleMania main event. You got the Enron logo all over the place. And then look what happened to that company. Are we going to look back years from now and American Home Shield is going to be no more because of some kind of scandal? Every time we watch this match back now, we're going to have to see the American Home Shield logo. I mean, that's the risk you run, right? It's not my company. Who gives a fuck? Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Not my problem. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns and The Rock. The stipulation is very simple. If Rock and Roman win, the WrestleMania Night 2 main event is Bloodline rules. Anything goes. If Cody and Seth win, it's a fair fight tomorrow night. Boring. Cody entered first. And Seth Rollins entered in the longest, most obnoxious leopard print robe that I have ever seen in my entire life. I don't... He had this giant blue flower-looking thing on the side of his head. It looked like a growth of some kind. Pat McAfee thought it was a hat. I don't know what it was. If you were on that side of the stadium, you couldn't even see the man's face because it was obstructing a view of his face. He had to walk into the ring and grab and pick up his robe like he was getting married or something as he got into the ring. This man is supposed to be a baby. How this man is supposed to be a babyface, I'll never know. How this man is supposed to be the top babyface on that brand, which he really isn't. That's Cody. But I will never know. But there he was in his obnoxious robe. The Rock entered. I was wondering what The Rock's entrance was going to look like here for this match. You know they were going to do it up in a big way. The Rock enters first for his team, which I have to say I was very happy to see. Because Roman Reigns is the champion. The champion should enter last. So I'm glad that they let the champion enter last. Although they're both champions. I mean, what am I even talking about? They're both champions. Rock came out with a belt. Rock came out with a Brahma Bull belt that was gifted to him at the Hall of Fame ceremony last night. It was presented to him by Muhammad Ali's widow. So The Rock now has his own belt. He actually had a Brahma Bull belt many years ago that they never used on TV. I don't know. You know what? I shouldn't say that it isn't the same belt. I would imagine it isn't, though. It would have to have the new logo on there. So I don't know where the original Brahma belt is, but he had his belt slung over his shoulder. He was out there rocking a vest. He had his old black tearaway pants. I don't know if they were tearaway. He used to come out, though, in the like the tracksuit. Remember when he had the surgery? He had the gyno surgery, so he was wearing that tracksuit there for a few months at the beginning of '99. So he had those kinds of pants. I think they were the tearaway pants. He walked out on stage. There was a flaming Brahma Bull logo on the ground that he stood in the middle of. And I have to say, he actually looks human size. The Rock has slimmed down. Not only for this match, but he's got a movie coming up soon that he's filming. He's going to be playing MMA star, or former MMA star Mark Kerr. So he has slimmed down. He looked good. He looked like he was in a healthy size for this match, not overly enlarged like he was the last time we saw him. And then out with the brand new Hall of Famer, Paul Heyman, and I'll have thoughts on his induction tomorrow on the podcast. Roman Reigns makes his way out. With this main event tonight, he ties Hulk Hogan for the greatest number of WrestleMania main events in history. This was his 8th WrestleMania main event. Tomorrow night, he will break the record with his 9th WrestleMania main event. So there you go. All you Hogan record people, you don't have to wait until the fall. He's going to break Hogan's record tomorrow. See? So now you can shut up about it. By the time the bell rang to kick off this match, 40 minutes had gone by since the last match. 40 minutes had elapsed since we had actual ring action on this show. And finally here, ding, 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 we're underway. Once the match finally did begin, though, it started with the two former Shield members, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins.
I have one pair of skinny jeans, and I'm going to wear them every week just to piss you off.
Oh, it's Hollywood Dave. Hollywood Dave Batista. Hey, Beefy Canadian coming in with the super chat. Hey, Beefy, thank you. Always good to see Big Dave in his skinny jeans. And Untouchable Sin just subscribed. See, you subscribe, you get a little Asuka on your screen. There you go. So we kicked off with Roman and with Seth here in this match. They didn't do much before Rollins tagged out to Cody, who got some boos. And so that was very interesting here at the beginning of this match. We hear the boo birds are out a little bit for Cody Rhodes. So now, my spidey senses are tingling, and I'm paying closer attention to how the crowd reacts, because it could foretell what is to come tomorrow night. Look, WrestleMania brings people out from all over the world. So it's kind of to be expected that sometimes they're going to kind of do their own thing. So we got a little preview of Sunday's main event, but again, they didn't do much before Roman tagged out to The Rock. And his first match in 8 years, it was Rock and Rollins, collar and elbow tie-up. Rock sent him flying. The fans chanted for Rocky. And Michael Cole says, in the city that loves nostalgia. This was basically like kind of a modern day version of Jim Ross at WrestleMania 18 when it was Rock Hogan at the Sky Dome. And it was decisively not a mixed reaction. But on commentary, they tried to sell it like it's a mixed reaction here from this crowd. And then when it was clear that the people were chanting for Hogan overwhelmingly, on commentary, they also played up the whole, well, you know, nostalgia. It was like the same thing. Like, don't fight it. Like, the people clearly, they like who they like. There's no sense in trying to pretend like this isn't really happening here. So Rock put down Rollins with a clothesline and then told Cody to just bring it. So Rollins tagged out, and we got Cody and The Rock for the first time. Loud Rocky chants here for this first confrontation between these two. It really, in a lot of ways, does remind me of 18, because if you remember the story going into Rock Hogan, Hogan tried to murder The Rock. Like, he tried to run him over, or run into him. He did run into him. His ambulance with a giant semi-truck and tried to kill The Rock. And yet, these people in Canada didn't care about this case of attempted murder. They still cheered Hogan and booed The Rock. Now think about what The Rock has done to Cody in these last several weeks, right? He beat the piss out of him. He whipped him with his belt. He made him bleed. He talked about his mother. He talked about his dumb dog, right? His words, not mine. Love Pharaoh. And yet the people were cheering for The Rock. And there were very noticeable boos here for Cody. Now, Cody did his drop-down right-hand combo. Then he worked Rock over in the corner. Then he tagged out to Seth. And they double-teamed Rock in the corner to boos. The match spilled out to the floor. All four men outside. Rollins fought The Rock. Roman was fighting Cody up the ramp. So off they went. Rock yelled at Chad Patton. Because Chad Patton's in the ring, right? He's counting, right? This is not a no disqualification match. And The Rock looks up at Chad Patton, and he tells the referee, he warns him, he goes, if you count, you're fired. He said, you know I don't fuck around. If you count, you're fired. And Chad Patton, he shut the fuck up after that. There was no more counting from him. So Rollins then dumped The Rock over the barricade. They fought into the crowd. Rock at one point grabbed someone's bottle of water, and he spit it in Rollins' face. Rollins threw him back over the barricade to ringside and then jumped off the barricade with a double axe handle. Roman and Cody, they made their way back down to ringside. Roman took out Seth's leg on the apron before he could get back inside. So now the focus was clearly the leg, the previously injured leg of Seth Rollins. And Rock wraps the leg around the ring post once, wraps the leg around the ring post the second time. Then he tags Roman back in. They got heat on Rollins for a very long time. And they were working him over outside the ring as well. Then back inside. Frequent tags here from Rock and Roman. So Roman went for a Superman punch. Seth, though, countered into a neck breaker. And we got the double down. Seth inched his way towards Cody, who was reaching for the tag. By the way, we are very close. As someone just pointed out, we are very close to 1,000 likes. 750 was the goal. Can we hit 1,000 and beyond? Can we run the score up on those likes? Hit that thumbs up button for me. Seth is inching his way over towards Cody. Rock, though, prevents him from making the tag. And then he spreads Seth's legs. Now, this could go any number of directions here. He spreads Seth's legs, and he punches him in the dick. The Chad Patton has already been warned that if he rules against The Rock here, if he counts, if he does anything like that, he's going to be fired. So Chad Patton sees The Rock punch this man in the dick. And what does he do? He walks over to Cody Rhodes, and he apologizes. He apologizes for not being able to do anything. Hell of a referee we have here. So Rock went for his spit punch. Rollins, though, dropped him with a step-up enziguri. Rollins dove for a tag. Roman, though, yanks Cody off the apron. Rock then applied a sharpshooter. And I have to say, this right here, this was amazing. A lot of people, myself included, over the years, have mocked The Rock for his awful sharpshooter. I think even Bret Hart himself has commented about how terrible of a fucking sharpshooter The Rock uses. And you look back on some of The Rock's WrestleMania matches with Austin and people, and, you know, he puts the sharpshooter on, And he rarely leaned back enough to make it look devastating. He would have this look on his face, like, "Ooh," like it would hurt him more than it hurt the person he was applying the move to. It was really bad. This was, I believe, the best sharpshooter I have ever seen The Rock apply in my entire life. The Rock is how old now? 51, 52. Hasn't had a proper match in how many years? Now he saves his best sharpshooter. Amazing. I mean, he sank it in. He sat back on it more than he usually does. It looked great. He didn't have it applied for very long, though, because Cody got in the ring. He walked right in front of him and slapped him right in the face to break the hold. So Rock went over to Cody, and he got draped over the top rope. Then he turned around. He ate a super kick from Seth Rollins, and then he got stomped. Seth, though, could not follow up. So Rock ends up tagging out to Roman. Seth tags out to Cody. We got a Night 2 preview for WrestleMania, and this got shockingly little heat. This is the WrestleMania Night 2 main event here. It's almost as if people have been more into The Rock and Cody than Roman and Cody. Now, why is that? I wonder. Why could that be? You mean to tell me that we didn't get some great build-up on TV leading up to this weekend for Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes? We got practically no build-up for Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. So I wouldn't at all be shocked if these two ended up going out there and getting shockingly little heat. When you look at the way they built up that and they built up Cody and The Rock, Cody and The Rock feels like the real WrestleMania main event here. So I guess I really shouldn't be shocked at all. But they got in the ring together. Disaster kick connects. Roman ends up eating a Cody cutter. Cody, though, only gets a 2 count. And boy, did those likes shoot all the way up. So thank you for that. You know, Rock goes like this with the goosebumps. Shoot those likes into my veins. Let's see how high we can go here. This is my high. Those likes are my high. Hit that like button. So now he sets Roman up for a crossroads. And he got booed. Roman counters out of it. Cody goes for another springboard move. He eats a Superman punch. Roman covers. Cody kicks out. Roman comes up bleeding from the nose. Not like profusely or anything like that. At first, it looked like he had a scratch on top of his nose. I think his actual nose, was busted. So he looks down at his hand. He's feeling around. He sees blood. Already going like this. Now he's getting angry because he looks down at his hands and he sees his own blood. Right? When you see your own blood, it does something to a man, right? I cut myself shaving a few weeks ago and I looked down and I saw my blood and I started crying. But he's getting all pumped up, right? He sees his blood all over his hands. So now he sets up for the spear. Cody, though, rolls him up with a sunset flip because as he comes in for the spear, Cody jumps over him and rolls him up. Cody then gets up and he balances himself. I mean, he kind of propelled himself first off the middle rope, but he balances himself on the top rope. And then he goes for the Cody cutter. Right? On the way down, he tries to hit the Cody cutter. He drops him. It was really more of a shoulder tackle than a Cody cutter, but he tried. He tried. Right? That's what counts. So Rollins followed up with a splash off the top rope. Only got a near fall. Somebody said The Rock had goosebumps all over his back. Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but I did notice that. I did notice that.
Off is a direction you can fuck.
I didn't mean it. It was just an observation. Calm down. Base Beerus here with the $23 super chat, telling me where I can go. I will say The Rock he's been priceless as far as all the new content from me here on the channel. This is between those sound bites that I've been making good use of.
Fuck your story.
I mean, The Rock, I will say, he is, oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, this was not the night for the Cody celebration here. We did not get the big Cody celebration. You got it on the stream. You didn't get it on
Why
WrestleMania.
is Solomonster a Punk hater? Why does he hate Punk so much? What did he ever do to him?
Oh man, I'm being assaulted here. That was ABK, by the way. ABK, I was going to build up to it later, but ABK dropped a $412 super chat a few moments ago. $412 for ABK. If there was a leaderboard, his fucking name would be right at the top of the list right now. Holy shit. But yes, we'll get to that in a little bit here. But yes, the observation that somebody made in the chat about The Rock's back, it was definitely noticeable. You were not the only one who noticed it. I just wasn't going to bring that up. So now, after the shoulder tackle that was supposed to be a Cody cutter, Rollins followed up with a splash off the top rope onto Roman, only got a near fall. Rollins went for a stomp. Roman, though, scoops him up and powerbombs him. Another spear attempt, but he ate a super kick, then a double super kick from both babyfaces, and Rollins stomps Roman Reigns. Cody then drops him with a crossroads. He covers him, and The Rock drags the referee out of the ring to break up the count. So now the people boo. Roman gives Cody a low blow and then a spear. Rock now puts the referee back in the ring. Roman covers. Cody kicks out at 2.5. Now the fans cheered, right? Good sign for Cody. But not only do the fans cheer, then they follow that up with Rocky chants. It's a very, very, very bipolar crowd here. Very different types of reactions here from these people. Roman cinches in the guillotine on Cody, right? A move that he has used to beat a lot of people, especially earlier in his run. He beat his cousin with that move. He beat Goldberg with that move. By the way, fuck Goldberg. He beats Goldberg with that move and a bunch of other people as well. So now he's got it cinched in pretty tight on Cody Rhodes. The referee checks the arm. Cody, though, he holds his arm up. So Rock, from the outside, reaches in, holds Cody's legs. Roman gets him down on the mat. He still has the guillotine applied. And now Cody is fading. Now here comes Seth Rollins. He flies in. He stomps Roman, who is face up. So he stomps Roman to break the hold. Then The Rock turns and he looks over at Cody's mother, Michelle. And there is Mama Rhodes. Mama Rhodes is in the front row. Rock pulls out his weight belt, the white one that says Mama Rhodes on it, that has Cody's dried blood, her son's dried blood on the belt. And The Rock's yelling some stuff over at her. Brings the belt into the ring. Cody kicks him, and then he gets possession of the weight belt. Rock, though, knocks him down. Cody goes to the dusty punches, hits the bionic elbow. Off the ropes he comes. Rock, though, drops him with a spine buster, and now the crowd comes alive. You know what comes next. He sets up for it. He goes for the people's elbow, but as he hits the ropes, Cody kips up. He springboards off the middle rope, and they timed it perfectly. I thought it actually looked great. He drops Rock as Rock is coming off the ropes with a Cody cutter. So now Cody was looking for crossroads. He ends up eating a Superman punch from Roman Reigns. Roman goes to spear Cody, but Seth basically dives and knocks Cody out of the way like a Secret Service agent. You know, he saves him, and Roman Reigns spears The Rock. Uh-oh. He spears his cousin. That got a big reaction. Rock is selling the hell out of that spear. Then we got stereo pedigrees. Seth pedigrees Roman. Cody pedigrees Rock. Not a very good one, but, you know, Rock probably can't get his arms all the way back like that anymore. So he gives Rock a pedigree. Both heels are laid out. They got me on this. I thought this was it. I thought we were getting a double pin, and thankfully we didn't. And the bloodline kicks out before 3. Rollins ends up diving out of the ring after Roman rolled outside. Rollins dives out of the ring onto Roman Reigns. Rock, meanwhile, on the opposite side, clears off the Spanish announce desk, hoists Cody up on his shoulder, and he's just holding him up there. He turns and looks at Mama Rhodes, and he tells Mama Rhodes, "Look at your son.
Look at you now.
Look at your son." That's right. Look at you now. Look at what I'm going to do to your son. And he lays Cody across the announce desk. He stands up on top of it. He's setting up for a rock bottom. Here comes Seth Rollins, though. And Seth Rollins grabs The Rock's foot to prevent him from following through on the move. This is enough of a distraction that it allows Cody to counter into a rock bottom of his own. And Cody ends up giving The Rock a rock bottom from the Spanish announce desk through the English announce desk. And through the table goes The Rock. Then, as Seth is standing there and he's all wobbly and woozy, here comes Roman Reigns spearing Seth Rollins through the barricade by the timekeeper's area. So now everybody is down, and the fans, of course, are going nuts by this point here in the match. Once they all recovered, Roman took out Cody with a drive-by. Rock tagged out to Roman. Cody drops Roman with a crossroads, picks him up, hits a second one, picks him up, goes for a third one. Roman, though, before he could hit the move, kind of pushes him backwards where Cody's back is up against the ropes. And that's when The Rock, from the floor, whips the dog shit out of Cody's back. Just once, but he hit him hard. Whips him with that belt. Roman then spears Cody. Rock reaches out for the tag. Tag me. So Roman tags in The Rock. He crouches in position for the rock bottom. And he nails the rock bottom. And now he's going to get this fucking elbow in. So he sets up for the people's elbow. He flashes the cutthroat sign. Puts his finger up in the air. Hits the ropes. Zigzags across. Drops the people's elbow. And that is all she wrote. The Rock pins Cody Rhodes in this tag team match to win it for the Bloodline. Michael Cole said, as soon as the referee hit 3, Michael Cole said, Cody Rhodes is screwed. Bloodline rules tomorrow night, night 2, which means anything goes. Seth Rollins, if you're wondering what the hell happened to Seth Rollins, they cut to the outside of the ring, and he's only now crawling out of the rubble, the wreckage of the barricade. Obviously, too little, too late. I mean, so much for this guy being Cody's shield, right? I'll be your shield. I'll watch your back. I'll be your protector. Yeah, whatever happened to that? And for the second straight year, for the second straight WrestleMania, Cody Rhodes is a loser in the WrestleMania main event. Not only did he lose 2 years in a row, he got pinned by the Bloodline both times. Last year it was Roman, this year it was Rock. And he was left sitting in the ring, his back towards the aisle, as his opponents were exiting. It's like a carbon copy of last year. But it was the right outcome. For the story they're telling, it had to happen this way for the benefit of night 2. It had to go down the way that it did to set up for a potential Rock and Cody match at some point for the title, but it had to happen to feed into the championship match tomorrow night. Now, the first half of this match, if not more than half, felt like they were running on autopilot. And they were just, they were doing very basic stuff, and they were, brawling into the crowd and stuff like that. It just felt like they were on autopilot. It took a while to get going because they knew they were going long. They went 45 minutes here, not including entrances. Okay, so that's like an Okada main event from New Japan. They went a very long time. And actually, it's funny I mentioned that because that's one of the criticisms of Okada's matches is that, they're so slow. At the beginning, it takes so long, and you could tell, this is going to be a long match. And, but they tell a story, and he builds and builds to the big climax at the end. That's what they did here in this match. It started slow. Again, Rock has not been in the ring for a very long time. And also, I wonder if part of the calculation, or I was wondering at the beginning of this, they know they have another main event yet to come tomorrow. You've got Roman and Cody who have to go out there and have a title match. You've got Seth Rollins who has to go out there and have a title match. Are they going to hold back? They're going to hold back to make sure, nobody gets hurt. I don't think that really had too much to do with it. I just think, again, they had to pace themselves, especially with Rock out there, Now, as far as Rock is concerned, I said it at the top, I thought Rock looked great. Were there points where he looked gassed and he looked like he needed to take a break? Yes. And there was one point during the match, late in the match, where he kind of disappeared for 5 minutes. It was like he was Roman's manager for 5 minutes. But that's the beauty of it being a tag team match. he doesn't have to carry the burden. He could tag in, do his shit, take a few bumps, tag out, catch his breath, come back in. I mean, again, the guy is not as young as he used to be. And he's got a lot of muscle. I like the fact that he's slimmed down. I think, frankly, it's better off if he's going to wrestle that he's not as gigantic as he's been in the past or in some of his movies. And even the parts where he looked like he was very tired and gassed, like, he did everything he was supposed to do. I thought it looked good. It wasn't like he was sucking wind with his tongue hanging out by the time the match was over. He did fine. And so if The Rock is going to come back and do another match or 2 more matches or wrestle Roman next year, again, there's a difference between singles and tag. I think he should be fine, as long as, he keeps himself in the shape that he was in tonight. I don't see why he can't do another 1 or 2 matches. There's money to be made, by doing Rock and Cody. There's still money to be made by doing Rock and Roman when the split eventually happens. So to his credit, I think The Rock, he killed it tonight. I thought he looked great. Cody and Seth being booed, especially Cody, was certainly interesting. And I wonder what the reaction will be in that stadium tomorrow when it comes to Rollins and McIntyre. Because Drew McIntyre has been very entertaining. I wonder if this is a crowd that's going to be more pro-McIntyre than Rollins, frankly. I think if that match had happened tonight on this show, that they would have been. So that'll be interesting. But it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is in the main event tomorrow night. You may get some boo birds for Cody. Again, I don't think it's, by the time that match is over, it's not going to be an issue. It's not like the crowd is going to rebel against the guy or anything like that. But it was a very interesting reaction. Now, Rollins, to go back to him for a second, they focused on his knee for a good portion of this match. That's another thing to keep an eye on tomorrow, because you wonder how or if that will feed into the World Heavyweight title match tomorrow, especially if he loses or gets cashed in on when the match is over, which I think he will be. So that could be a story for tomorrow. And now it's Bloodline rules in the main event. And as I said in my predictions for night 1, we're going to get a new champion. This is the final test of adversity for Cody Rhodes, right? He's not going to face any more adversity than he's going to face tomorrow night. Because you're going to have Roman, you're going to have Rock, you're going to have Jimmy, you're going to have Solo, you're going to have John Cena, I believe, is going to make an appearance. I think John Cena is showing up tomorrow night to fight off Solo Sikoa. I think that you're going to get Stone Cold, and that's maybe just me pie in the sky. It's 25 years since Rock and Austin went at it in Philadelphia. Okay, come on. 25 years later, who knows The Rock better than Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? He sees this guy abusing his power. He's throwing his weight around. He's threatening referees. He likes Cody Rhodes. He wants a fair fight as much as anybody. Imagine if the glass shatters in Philadelphia. I'll tell you what, if the glass shattered in front of this crowd tonight, I don't know. I don't know what the reaction would be. Hopefully the people have some more life to them tomorrow. Maybe it'll be a little bit warmer outside tomorrow. Maybe the weather factored into that. I don't know. But I think it's going to be one of the most overbooked matches in the history of WrestleMania, and I am here for it. Because if you're going to do Bloodline rules, you better do it the right way. Make it fun, make it interesting, throw things out there that'll get a big reaction out of people. Roman Reigns and The Rock are going to do everything in their power to make sure that this man does not leave with that championship. And you've got to have a surprise here and a surprise there to make sure that we can end up getting a fair fight. That is the key. All those Bloodline members need to be taken out, including The Rock. Which is why I also keep thinking of Austin, because if somebody is going to come out and take out The Rock, if it's not going to be Cody, all right, then who else is it going to be? Right? Except his greatest rival. It just makes sense. But in the end, the most important thing is it comes down to Roman and Cody. Cody gets that win. He gets that win back for what happened to him last year. He gets that win back for what happened to him tonight. His mother is sitting in the front row and actually gets to see her baby boy win the world title instead of him getting whipped like a dog. And we get the big celebratory moment. Why? Because it's another WrestleMania that ends in 0. And that's just what happens. Why should tomorrow night be any different? Cody's not losing 3 straight WrestleMania main events. You're out of your mind. if you think that he is. So if you are a Bloodline guy, if you are a Roman Reigns girl, and you are looking forward to him holding on to that championship tomorrow, get the Kleenex ready. Because we are heading into a brand new era, the Triple H era, they call it. Well, we're heading into a new era. It's called the Cody Rhodes era. Because I, for one, cannot take another year of Paul Heyman talking into his phone and saying, call Roman Reigns. That ends tomorrow night. And then this Bloodline story can move into whatever the next chapter is going to be with Rock and Roman. But that's for tomorrow night. This is what the card looks like for WrestleMania Night 2. When we come back here in less than 24 hours, Seth Rollins defends the World Heavyweight title against Drew McIntyre. CM Punk will be on commentary. Philadelphia Street Fight, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are going to be taking on the Final Testament. LA Knight takes on AJ Styles. Triple threat match, Logan Paul puts the U.S. title on the line against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Io Sky defends the WWE Women's Championship against Bayley and Cody Rhodes. This is it. It all comes down to this. Bloodline rules against Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Championship. I said coming into this weekend that I thought Night 1 looked to be the stronger of the two nights. On paper, it did. I think Night 2 has a pretty good chance of topping Night 1. Because while I thought Night 1 ended up being a good show, this is a show that could have been a great show. And this was not a great show. There was a lot of just nothing. A lot of dead nothing, I felt like, right in the middle of this show. But those two main events really elevated it to good. If I had to put a rating on it, I don't always do this, but if I had to go 1 to 10 and slap a rating here on Night 1, I'd probably be willing to go 7-ish on Night 1, somewhere in that range. Like, 6.5 to 7. Sounds about fair to me. That's probably what I would do. Now, very curious to see what these Twitter poll results look like, because there were a few thousand votes coming in earlier on. Let's see where things stand right now. 3,300 votes in and counting. About 61% thumbs up for WrestleMania 40 Night 1. 30% thumbs in the middle. And just shy of 9% thumbs down. So that is a positive score for WrestleMania there. Not as impressive a Night 1 as we got for WrestleMania 39. I mean, to me, there's no comparison between the two. 39, Night 1 was far superior. But those last two matches really elevated it for me. So again, feel free to chime in. Let me know what you guys thought of what you saw here on WrestleMania Night 1. That was a lot to unpack. You didn't answer my question, by the way. I asked you if what they said, do you believe that Lil Wayne is in fact the best rapper of all time? I don't know, that seems like a very polarizing statement to me. But I'm not getting involved in that debate. I'm not going to give my opinion one way or the other because I don't feel like I'm in a position to really do that. Maybe you guys are. He is not. Not at all, says Stephen Chung. Stephen has made it very clear that Lil Wayne is in fact not the greatest rapper of all time. All right, let's scroll back here and go through your comments and questions. Get them on in. This is your chance here. There's a lot of them. And they're not all here, so I'm going to have to go elsewhere here to pick up the ones that came in earlier. But I thank all of you that have been just killing it, even just hitting the like button is going to help out this video immensely. But everybody who has supported really over the last several days, the Mark Henry interview and the WrestleMania predictions I did in Philly at the Duncan Music Lounge the other day, which was a ton of fun. I'm so glad that I had the chance to do that. Got a lot of positive feedback to that. So again, thank you very much. All right, let's take a look here. We have got, I'm going to kick things off here with the Real CS. Real CS02, who wants to know why call up Braun Breaker if he is just going to stick with NXT. That is a good question. I saw that Braun Breaker retained his NXT tag team titles, the Wolf Dogs, him and Baron Corbin. They got a win at Stand and Deliver. I don't know, beats the hell out of me. why they have to keep the belts on them instead of just transitioning it to somebody else and focusing more on creative for him, especially coming out of WrestleMania. I would think that Braun is somebody you really want to build around on that SmackDown brand or start building up. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't just transition the belts onto somebody else. It's possible Shawn Michaels is like Dixie Carter when Hulk Hogan went to leave TNA, holding onto the ankle. Won't let the guy go. Lady Fire Panda, thank you very much for the super chat. Going into night 2 of WrestleMania, I realize that I have two sides to my personality. The wrestling fan side, where I want Cody to win and finish the story, and the sicko side, where I want Roman to retain because it would be hilarious. That's not a good reason to want to see Roman win. The Real CS Julia appeared in the NXT crowd tonight. They teased her against Roxanne. Yes, Julia is, in fact, going to be coming to NXT in the next few months. That is where she is going to start. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I'm looking very much forward to seeing what she brings to the table in WWE. That's a big pickup for them. Very, very, very cool. Base Beer says, singing the WrestleMania song, huh? Oh, WrestleMania. Who will survive? It's a great song. WrestleMania Extra Large. Hey, Base Beerus, thank you. Shin Super Kick Akuma. Rhea entered her 5th straight WrestleMania for a championship match. Is that Rhea Ripley? 5 straight title matches at WrestleMania for Rhea Ripley? Well, I guess 37. She wrestled Asuka, right? 38? Who did she wrestle at 38? I don't even remember. Oh, maybe you're right. Crypto and Poker, Gunther losing means Roman is retaining tomorrow. No. No, it does not. I don't know how people can see what they did at the end of that show tonight and actually think that Roman Reigns is going to walk out of there with the win tomorrow. I mean, are people just saying that because they think it's funny, or do they honestly believe that? This is going to be quite the stream tomorrow, I will say, if we don't get a title change in that main event. The Carlosis, Lil Wayne out here sounding like Lil Mosquito. Maybe that's what he sounded like. I thought he sounded terrible. Maybe he's sick. Maybe Becky Lynch gave him strep throat. I don't know. Jake says, thank you for all the content. 12 years a fan. Hey, Jake, thank you. That's one of the things I loved about being in Philly over the last couple of days. And I'm sure if I had gone to Mania, it would have been even more. I got to meet a whole bunch of people who came out to the event on Thursday at the Duncan Lounge and then at the House of Glory show, including some fans. Shout out to them, including Yusuf from Kuwait, who came in all the way from Kuwait for WrestleMania. Huge fans of the show. Got to meet them and take some pictures. It was so cool. So that was a good time was had by all. But thank you, Jake. Achu bless you with the $4.99. My husband's elementary robotics team won 4 medals in competition today. 3 first places and 1 second in all 4 categories. Please give a shout out to Tony. Shout out to Tony. You and Kurt Angle now have something in common. You both have medals. This is gold. I don't know what yours are made of. That's pretty cool. Shout out to Tony. Orioles Peak with a pair of super chats. Thank goodness for that main event, because the rest of the show was extremely underwhelming outside of R-Truth, Jade, and Sami. Hopefully night 2 is better. And NXT Triple Threat was the best match of the day by far. Thank you, Orioles Peak, Ace of Masta, LOL at The Rock booking himself over the new future champion. Well, look, as part of the story, like I said before, I know some people will look at that and will think, how do you have The Rock pin the guy that probably will be beating Roman Reigns, and it's just an ego trip from The Rock? Yeah, I mean, ego could be part of it, but you know what? It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. Which is why I was pitching the same thing coming into this weekend. You set up a match between them, whether it happens or not, you at least set the stage for there to be a match where Rock can turn around and go, I already beat you, son. You owe me. I beat you. I could beat you for that belt, right? and you got a ready-made match for whenever they're ready to kind of take it out of their back pocket. So it's just good business. As long as they do the right thing on night 2, I have no issue with it. If not, that's a different story. The Sheriff of Patties with the $4.99. Tomorrow should bring some all-time pro wrestling drama. I'm ready. Thank you, Solo, for all your work, effort, and dedication. The GWO thanks you. Yes, I didn't mention it, but channel memberships are always open. They are open now. We had, I think Fire Panda at the very beginning of tonight gifted 10. I think there's been some more gifted. Some have bought memberships tonight. You guys are awesome. Make use of those emojis, by the way. So thank you to all of our channel members. You guys are great. Prince Vegeta says it doesn't make sense that Sami did the job to the one diving splash from Bronson Reed to kicking out of 3 Gunther powerbombs. I like Sami, but a bad choice. It's the power of WrestleMania, brother. Yeah, it's not the choice I would have made either. I was surprised they did the title change with him. Jerome Eugenio, champs or chumps at WrestleMania. Kabuki Warriors and Seth take L's tonight. That's true, but the Brahma Bull champion got a win. Right? And Rhea Ripley got a win too. Orioles Peak, if that's the match that Jey has been dreaming of, then he needs to see a specialist ASAP. As for Jimmy, at least he gets to go home to Naomi, so there is that. Well, he didn't have to go very far. I mean, Naomi's at the building, right? Jessica Herman, thank you for the 5. Rock looked far better than I expected. He can surely do a solo match with Cody this summer. Thanks for all that you do. Keep rolling, Solomonster. Thank you, Jessica. The Real CS, Rock versus Cody for the WWE title. That's what we're going to get. Joey Jojo Jr., it wasn't a bad show. It wasn't a good show. I feel the same way after this show as I did after AJ Styles against Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34. Yeah, you know what? That might be an apt comparison there. I remember feeling very disappointed at the end of that match. I know the people in the building were. Theodore Bond, excited for tomorrow's main event. Shenanigans, nice to be here live for a stream for once, with the best. Hey, Theodore, thank you, man. I'm glad to have you. JDF, Virginia, dropped $2 earlier. Hey, JDF, thank you. Appreciate you. Oh, let's see here. I want to make sure I don't miss any of the early ones before I get to the ones that you see on your screen. Again, I thank you all for dropping all these bombs on me. It warms my... What was that thing that Vince said once on TV? It warms his cockles. You know, in light of what we know about this guy now, I don't want to know what cockles he was talking about. Hey, Jamie Dorsch, thank you for the super chat. Great Mania night. Disappointed that Seth Rollins did not wrestle in whatever the hell that eyesore was that he wore to the ring. More like Seth Goofy Rollins. You know what all Seth Rollins did by dressing up that way and coming out to the ring looking like that? It just reinforces The Rock calling him a walking clown emoji, because that's what he looked like. Looked like a walking clown emoji out there. Donnie Yasu with the 5. All these years for Jimmy versus Jey at Mania, and that was what we got. At least the video package was good. Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. The video package was excellent. The video package was better than the match. They did a really good job on that, so I'm glad you reminded me of that. All right, now we are getting down to brass tacks here, because now we are getting to our boy D Wise. And D Wise dropped a $50 Gunther bomb on me 2 hours ago. A Solomonster, longtime listener. Too tired to think of a good question, just wishing you well and saying thanks for being you. A D the Wise. D the Wise, you are awesome. That is very, very kind of you. The Carlosa says, if you were a betting man, does the glass shatter tomorrow, right? Or night in the main event, yes or no? Well, I don't bet, but if I did, yes. I say yes. Kate Love with a $10 super chat showing love. No message, just showing some love. Hey, Kate, thank you. Appreciate it. Sean D, good point. Not only do I think Cody can run here for Senate, but he could win. He would absolutely beat Warnock or Ossoff if he wanted to. Cody's going to run for office at some point. And I think he has specifically said that he wants to run for Senate. So it's just a matter of time. Cody is going to be in office one day. I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Holiday 197, if Cody wins night 2, Gunther should take the belt from Cody at SummerSlam. Gable should take the Intercontinental belt from Sami. Cody and Sami do not need to have long reigns to make their WrestleMania moments meaningful. I agree. Uffman Entertainment with the $32 Judgment Day super chat. Read this on Facebook. Jimmy versus Jey made Matt versus Jeff look like Brett versus Owen. I like that. Jimmy versus Jey made Matt versus Jeff look like Brett versus Owen. Well said. Ultra East Boys. This wasn't a Philly crowd. It was a crowd in Philly. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's always the case of WrestleMania because you get all the out-of-towners. It's not like 72,000 Philadelphia people are there. But you do have a lot of Philadelphia people that do go to the show. Alex, Brother Solo, what are your thoughts on the overall crowd reaction tonight? It felt like other than the final 2 matches, the crowd was very lackluster and it affected the quality of the matches. Yeah, it was very quiet. It was very, very lame. So again, either the crowd was quiet or they weren't mic'd up great, or it's just the whole outdoor stadium sound rises situation. Take your pick. But I thought it really killed the vibe of most of the show. In Philly, of all places, which is pretty disappointing. Riley Parvin dropped a $50 Gunther bomb. I agree that Chad Gable would have been a better choice to dethrone Gunther, but damn it, when Sami got that 3, I jumped off my couch and kneeled down in front of my TV, celebrating with Sami. I loved the match. That was my moment of the night. Yeah, I don't disagree. It was a great moment. I just question the need for it to happen. KC1324, do you think that we could see Evolution get involved if Triple H gets involved tomorrow night? Do you think there's a high chance of Cena and Austin getting involved tomorrow night? Evolution, no. I don't know what Evolution even has to do with any of this. I mean, I guess you could say the same for Austin, but I've stated why I think they should have an Austin cameo. Evolution, no. Cena, Austin, yes. Cena for sure. I'm more confident about Cena than I am Austin. Cena, I would say, is practically a guarantee. But I feel pretty good about Steve Austin. Y2J Jericho, Y2JS. Hey, Solomonster, huge fan. Curious question. Do you believe Goldust can still show up tomorrow night to help Cody win the title? No. Do I think there's a chance he could be allowed in the crowd? I would hope that Tony Khan would allow it if Dustin said, look, it would mean a lot to me if you allowed me to be there for my brother's match, you know, if you knew he was going to win the title. Even if he had to be kept off camera, which was the case with Lex Luger, for example, at Revolution and DDP. Goldust, though, him being involved in the match, I just don't have any interest in seeing it. So it's not going to happen, and I'd rather not see it anyway. JWD82X, you make my ride to work every day a lot easier. Just wanted to contribute. Cody definitely finishes the story tomorrow. Yes, he does. JWD, thank you for the 10. EJ Slemp, commentary tonight was an abomination. I would rather listen to Mike Adamle and Art Donovan than Pat McAfee. He was insufferable. I just thought he sounded like Pat McAfee. It's the best way I could sum it up. Pat McAfee sounded like Pat McAfee on commentary. Maybe I'm just used to it by now. NWO Matt. Hey, Solomonster, all these Eagles fans are soft. I was in MetLife Stadium in mid to late December in under 0-degree weather with 20 wind chill to see my Cowboys. Were you out there with no shirt and the paint on your chest, right? The beer in your hand, rooting on your team? Are you that nutcase? Hey, Matt, thank you. He has punked out the Philadelphia fans with that comment. Mason Clark. I heard some boos for Cody tonight. Now, you didn't hear some boos. You heard very noticeable boos, as I talked about. Ultra Beast Boys. They must think we're all impotent incels with all the Wingstop, vodka, and Viagra ads. It's pro wrestling. Like, it's the low-hanging fruit of sponsorships. Jace Chua. I would give it a B grade. Good opening match. Felt a little dead in the middle, but last two were awesome. WWE should do WrestleMania either in a warm city or indoors. Think crowd is better in those places. I agree. And again, Nick Khan is already talking about maybe moving Mania to late April, or if not, running indoor stadiums from now on. And I think that's the way to go. You're running in these climates. You run in these climates where you run the risk of there being snow or colder weather, and you're expecting people to sit out there for 5 or 6 hours. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot to ask. And I just think it would be the smart move to shift their strategy as far as where these WrestleMania locations are. Riley Parvin with the 10 spot. I am probably in the minority about Jason Kelsey's run-in, but I absolutely loved it. My roommate, who is not a wrestling fan at all, popped huge when he took the mask off. Yeah, but your roommate is probably a big football fan, right? So I feel like you have to be either an Eagles fan or a big football fan to just really appreciate that moment. Like, I know who Jason Kelsey is, but I just could not give two shits when he unmasked, and I just said to myself, why was this the finish of this match? Like, I mean, look, it was to get him on the show. That's the answer, but I just thought it was stupid. Bernard Frederick, is it true or have you heard that Seth Rollins was invited to RuPaul's Drag Race show because of his wardrobe choice? No joke. I have no idea what he was or was not invited to. I have no clue. Theme parks and things with Johnny with a $20 super chat. Well, there you go. Check that channel out. Theme parks and things with Johnny. Much love from the DT and KC community. Well, shout out to you, theme parks and things, and shout out to DT and KC, two of the OGs right there, holding down the fort. Check them out. Base Beerus, God of Seduction. Wingstop. What? Wooings. That's right. We got wooings. Beats out Wingstop every time. Jazz Jackrabbit. Ray needs to stop beating his son and seek counseling. Well, he's a deadbeat. He's a deadbeat dad. So that's what deadbeats do. They beat their son. DEH Sires. Whoever produced the Usos match needs to be fired. You know, I always laugh at things like when, you have a team, baseball team, basketball team, let's say, whatever. It could be any kind of sports team. And they're just not playing well. And they just have a really bad team, right? People are dropping balls. They're not making plays. So we fire the coach. We fire the manager, right? And there are situations where, deservedly so, you should get rid of the leadership and put somebody new in that position, and maybe they'll have a different culture. They'll call different plays, right? But I always put blame on the coach or the manager when you just have a shitty team sometimes. Sometimes it's not the producer's fault. It's just the match doesn't click for whatever reason. Now, if it was the producer whose idea it was for them to do 18 super kicks, then sure. But I don't think we could just lay it on the producer for the match. I could actually, you know what? Hold on a second. I could tell you right now who the producer for the match was, because I think PW Insider had a list of them earlier. Let's see here. Yes, we got it right here. Well, the producer for the Jimmy versus Jay match tonight was Jason Jordan. And Jason Jordan is someone who gets very high marks and is very well liked and respected. So we're not going to be firing Jason Jordan. Jimmy and Jay just went out there and had a fucking boring match. Sometimes you don't have to overcomplicate or overanalyze. Sometimes you just have a bad fucking match. And that's what it was. It was boring as shit. And I like both guys. The match wasn't any good. Prince Vegeta. Thoughts on the Heyman Hall of Fame speech. I thought it looked stupid that Brock was not in his video. I like that Heyman mentioned him, though. Very much enjoyed it. I'll give more thoughts on it on the podcast tomorrow, but I liked it. I put it in the top tier of Hall of Fame speeches that they've ever done. DEH Sires. Add Puerto Rico crowd to this show, and it goes from good to great. Thank God for the international PLEs coming up, praying for Vegas next year. Looks like it's either Vegas or Minneapolis, but I'm surprised we haven't gotten the announcement by now. I am surprised. We have got Riley Parvin. Man, Riley is showing some love tonight. I would not blame Priest or Miz for that botched ladder chokeslam spot. The ladder was wobbly as fuck. I had spent the whole 5 minutes before that spot scared of that ladder hurting someone. Yeah, well, that's why Priest dumped the ladder and got a new one after that spot. But yeah, it looked very silly though, because it looked like, it looked like it because that's what happened. Miz basically threw himself off the ladder. Kung Fu Joseph. I'm happy that Cody will win tomorrow, but the fact that I already know he's going to win lowers the excitement. Still happy though. Bobby's World with the $100 super chat bomb. Been working through a possible kidney stone for 2 days. Have to be at work again at 7 a.m. But I was not missing Mania or this stream. Mania season is when I get to drop some bombs of my own. And who better to get them than the man himself? Would be this guy right here. Hey, Bobby, man. That means a lot to me. Thank you. And it sucks that you may have a kidney stone. I have not had that. I hope I never have to go through that, because that sounds awful. But hopefully it's not. And if it is, hopefully it passes painlessly. Booba. Great WrestleMania recap. How was your trip to Philly? Any stories or anything interesting that you did other than the radio stuff? Yeah, I could talk more, I guess, in depth about it tomorrow, or later today, I guess. But like I said, I mean, the event on Thursday was great. Mark Henry was great. You know, I was worried. I didn't know if he had to get out of there quickly. He's like, yeah, whatever, man. So we spent 40 minutes talking. We had fans come out to the venue. The folks at iHeart were great. And at the House of Glory show, you know, we had a House of Glory Revolver joint show on Friday afternoon at a church, which is a very interesting location for a show, but it was packed. Actually a great venue for the show, especially as the hours went on with the light shining through as the sun was setting. Met a lot of fans of the show there, so it was very cool. Very cool time. The Juliet, Charlotte must have gone to Rock and Triple H and been like, why does my husband not have a WrestleMania match? I would like to think that there's a larger story here that has yet to play out. So let's see how it plays out. Base Beer says, Bobby bombs. That's right, Bobby bombs away, man. Bobby's World again says, Jimmy versus Jay, the match of 1,000 super kicks. Michael says, was in the crowd tonight. When things were loud, they were loud, but the cold definitely beat us up. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I feared, that the weather may have played a role in that, and I don't know if it's going to be any better tomorrow night, so I'm a little bit worried about what the atmosphere is going to be like there. Jace, one of my pet peeves is when a match with blood, or a blood feud, either starts with a lockup or it is booked as a wrestling match. Usos and Trick and Mello underwhelmed. Always makes me laugh when you have this heated feud and the bell rings and it's right to the collar and elbow tie. right to the side headlock. It's right to the arm drag takedown. Oh boy. That's where you got to ask the question, like, what was the producer thinking? Brandon Vasquez, solid night 1. Jey versus Jimmy was the only match I was disappointed in. Perhaps this is the year night 2 finally surpasses a night 1. Brian Hunter with the $20 super chat. No Jacob fought 2 on tonight's GCW show, and he was advertised. It's the first I'm hearing of that. I don't know. I have not kept up on anything else going on tonight other than WrestleMania related stuff, so I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know if maybe tomorrow night has anything to do with that. Who knows? But no, I don't know. It's the first I'm hearing about it. Plus Ultra Adrian, the show was pretty good tonight. The main event clearly stole the show, though, and I had a feeling that Sami would win once they mentioned that Gunther had been champion for 666 days. That's a hell of a number. That will now be the record. That will be the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, 666 days. They totally did that on purpose. Philly dried chicken and steak without flavor. Jade Cargill is the Storm, X-Men of WWE. She'd be perfect for the role. Jace says, Gunther will finally move on to the world title scene. I can see him winning Money in the Bank and cashing in advance at Bash at Berlin and winning. I feel like if he isn't the World Heavyweight Champion by the end of this summer, then they're doing something wrong. He should not be without a belt for too long. Few months, by the end of this summer, if he's not World Champion by then, they're doing it wrong. Jack Davis, completely agree with you with the way Pat and Corey slobbered all over The Rock and Roman in the match and how Cody has no chance. Makes night 2 predictable. M. Mills, again, no message, but M. Mills dropping a $100 bomb. Thank you very much. M. Mills is always very supportive here on these streams. And in the PayPals even for the main show. Bobby's World, Sammy's wife is great. She sells everything, although I'm sure she is watching her husband get beat up. That is not fun. Fayola Dreams, or Drums. Dreams. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Cut me some slack. Fayola Drums. People are saying the crowd was dead tonight, but as someone who was there, I thought the crowd was on fire all night long. Brother, that's not the way it came across on TV, unfortunately. Uffman Entertainment with the $200 super chat. Chad said to Sami, remember you owe me a favor, a la Apollo to Rocky and Rocky 3. Could he have meant if Sami wins, he gives Chad a title shot? That's exactly what he meant. Like, that is literally exactly what he had to mean by that line. So I'm hopeful that Chad Gable will find Intercontinental gold around his waist very, very soon. Even if it does mean he's going to be a heel. Listen to that clarinet, he says. Listen to that clarinet. Dried Chicken says, Mama Rhodes wants to fight The Rock. Brandy wants to fight The Rock. Pharaoh wants to fight The Rock. The Rock got enemies. He's got lots of enemies. Yeah, all the DC fans, they want to fight Rock too. Alex, with Triple H wanting to make this Mania the most memorable one ever, how over the top and chaotic do you expect that main event of Night 2 to be? Very. Another reason why I think we're in for Cena and Austin. Triple H, he said it on Pat McAfee's show. You know, he wants when this show is over on Sunday night, he wants people to look back at WrestleMania and go, holy shit. That's what he said. Well, I'll tell you what. Austin comes out. He comes marching out to the ring. We get Austin Rock. That'd be a holy shit moment right there. That will get people talking. That'll have a big smile on people's face. Wes McGuffin. I must admit, Sami Zayn winning the Intercontinental title may have brought a tear to my eye. Hopefully that will continue tomorrow when Cody completes his story and Stone Cold delivers a stunner to the Brahma bitch. the Brahma bitch. says Wes McGuffin. As a way with words. Hey, Wes, thank you for the $45 super chat from Wes. Brahma bitch. I like that. Beefy Canadian with the $36 super chat. He's got that Canadian conversion going on. See, it says Canadian 50. It's a US 36. Evening Solo and the Sound Off Militia. I think the weather did affect the show. Everything from the wrestlers to the Gans seem to be on slow-mo. The Gans? I think he meant the fans. Well, on the keyboard, the G is right next to the F, so I assume he means the, well, what else would he mean, right? Philly Dried Chicken, tonight's night one of WrestleMania. I had no complaints whatsoever. Only this chicken and steak's opinion. Well, that's why everyone's entitled to theirs. Base Beerus says, Honky Tonk Man is probably amused that his record was beaten by the streak of 666 days. I feel like most people expected there to be more celebration of the fact that it's another decade anniversary show. Rock, Ray, Randy were at WrestleMania 20. That's right. They were. They were indeed. Well, there's always tomorrow, you know, because back then it was one night, now it's two. So we'll see what they do tomorrow. Hey, Leonza Duncan, I don't get the IWC. I've seen every WrestleMania since 12, and if your worst match is the Uso match, then you have a pretty good Mania, so I highly disagree. Well, again, that's your opinion. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. I enjoyed parts of the show, too. I also sat here and said, man, I'm fucking bored for part of it. I'm entitled to that opinion, too. You don't have to agree with it, but that doesn't make it any less wrong. And that's not an IWC thing. That's just one fan's opinion of the show. And I know I'm not alone. Other people felt the same way. Especially that middle portion of the show. It didn't feel like a WrestleMania. It just felt like, it's a show. But then it picked up at the end. Hey, ABK, again, man, I can't say thank you enough. $412 bomb, like a drive-by here by ABK. Amazing. Hey, Kenneth, thank you for the sub. R-Truth says hello. There he is, your new Raw Tag Team Champion right there. There he is. Uffman Entertainment with the $40 CM Punk Super Chat. One day, this match is sponsored by the Solomonster Sounds Off podcast. Is there still time? Can we get the WrestleMania main event tomorrow sponsored by this podcast? If I take the Super Chats and I pay sponsorship money to WWE, can I get my skull logo on the ring apron? And all the LED boards tomorrow night when Cody beats Roman? That way I will live forever in immortality. What do you think? Barry MK, WWE has the original Brahma Bull belt at the warehouse. Stephanie even showed it off in a video many years ago. Yeah, I'm sure it's got the old logo on it and everything, right? The scratch logo. Also, Roman kicked a reporter out of the WrestleMania press conference for booing him. Get her out or I'm leaving, says Roman. Good. He's got to put his foot down. Slim Yoshi, enjoyed the WrestleMania tonight. Enjoyed the WrestleMania tonight. Despite it not feeling like WrestleMania until the last two matches. Do you agree? Hope you've been doing well over Mania weekend. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Didn't really pick up until the... And I thought the opening match was very good, but after that, I wasn't really into anything until we got to that Intercontinental title match. Just was not as strong as Night 1 last year. It's not even close. Doesn't mean it was terrible. It just means it was not nearly as good. I hope Night 2 will be better than Night 1. Slim Yoshi, enjoyed the WrestleMania despite... I just said that. Slim Yoshi, thank you. Base Beer says, loved your interview with Mark Henry. Thank you. Mark was great. Very knowledgeable. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's, got a website that's going up, themarkhenry.com. He's going to be giving advice to people. And, he's got a lot of skills when it comes to talent development, talent scouting. so many people that he has discovered and reached out to on his own, you know, Bianca, and just, you know, he's a wealth of information that I think AEW should tap into more. They don't already. You know, he talked about some of the AEW people that he's been mentoring. But he's just a fun dude, you know, a lot of stories to share, and he's been in multiple places, and just a laid back guy, but very, very smart, very, very wise if you pay attention to what he's saying. Ultra Beast Boys. I know most likely it is not personal for you, but are there any wrestlers that you genuinely dislike as a human being? Yes. Yes, there are. Especially any wrestlers who, you know, abuse their wives or girlfriends or, you know, assault people or just do things that any normal, decent human being wouldn't do. Unfortunately, the wrestling business has been littered over the years with just genuinely bad people. You have good people, you have bad people. I don't like those people. So there's a difference between actual legitimate hate for someone that maybe you've never met before, but through their reputation or their behavior, you just don't really care for them. And then other people where it's just kind of fun to hate on them, you know, from a wrestling perspective. Just kind of fun, you know? The Winston Slip. Who has ever won a match with a sunset flip? There have been people that have won with the sunset flip. I can't name you any off the top of my head, but it's happened before. Chris Auditor, I am so ready for Rock to oversell a Stone Cold Stunner. As am I. Halloween Man, Brock will come out and clean house and help Cody. Brock Lesnar will come out in the main event, is his prediction. I'm not ready to make that bet. Too soon. Do I think he'll be back? Yes. Do I think it'll be tomorrow night? No. Yuri, what do you think happens with Jimmy and Solo once it becomes Rock versus Roman? Also, any Cody reaction to that happening? Any Cody reaction? I don't know about Cody. As far as Jimmy and Solo, I mean, they'll be forced to choose sides. Which side they land on, I have no idea. I don't know where that part of the story is going to go. They'll be involved in some way. But I think Jimmy and Jey eventually will reunite. We'll get the Usos back. Solo will go babyface. I think coming out of the whole bloodline thing. Solo was the babyface on his own in NXT and was really getting over. And had more chance to show more of his personality there. That's one of the things I don't like about what he's doing now. You know, this worked for a while, but at some point soon, I feel like there's got to be a change, and he's going to have to allow him to show some more of his personality and speak more. You know, he keeps doing this silent enforcer thing for another year or two. It's going to get very old, especially if he keeps losing. Guy can't win a match to save his life. Jake with the $9.99. Fun fact. In your SummerSlam 2018 predictions, you said the show would end with the Usos and Heyman stopping Braun's cash-in on Roman and Reigns going heel. Wanted to wait until now to bring that up. LOL. Well, sometimes you play the long game with these predictions, you know? Devin from New Jersey, do we need video packages before every match? This is WWE. Yes, we do. Casualties of gaming. What Lil Wayne did tonight is the sound of herpes. It did sound like like I said, a sick animal or something. It's like, just put that poor, it's like a, I don't know what it was. It was awful, whatever it was. Thank God he got cut off by Jey Uso. Nightmare LLC. AEW is going to show Brawl In. Check Fightful AEW is going to show Brawl In? Hold on a second. Hold on. Hang on here. I do have an update. Paul Levesque made a comment He was asked about Brock Lesnar's status in WWE, and he said that there was a discussion with Lesnar about the 2024 Royal Rumble a long time ago. And Levesque then stated that Brock is not gone from WWE, but is home being Brock, and he left it open-ended as to what happens next. So I literally just told you a few minutes ago when somebody brought up Brock that he will be back. It will not be tomorrow night, but he is not done with WWE. And you just heard it there from the lips of Triple H himself. Okay, so here, I can't believe this. All right, so here is the update that was just mentioned in the Super Chat. This is from Mike Johnson on PW Insider.
Look, everyone, it's Samoa Bro.
Look at this. Even Samoa Bro is going to pull up a chair and listen to this. On tonight's edition of Collision, which I can't imagine had a big audience, it was announced that this Wednesday's edition of Dynamite will feature the Young Bucks presenting backstage footage, quote unquote, from All In London, and that the Jacksons will discuss it for the first time. There is no word yet whether this is actual footage from the now infamous CM Punk Jack Perry incident that led to Tony Khan announcing Punk was fired. It's also possible that it could be something new, produced to play off or parody that situation. So that is the update from Collision. Okay, so that to me sounds like a heel storyline bullshit segment. The way you made it sound, at first I was like, okay, are they that insecure and just, gotten to by that interview that Punk gave that now they're going to produce the footage? Do we really need the footage? We already know that he assaulted his coworker and deserved to be fired. There's not much else that we need to know about that incident. I'll talk about Punk tomorrow. I'm not getting into this now. I'll give you my thoughts on that whole thing tomorrow. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Bones Jones, hoping for a Mama Rhodes slap to The Rock tomorrow. I think it's going to happen. I think you're going to get it. Bernard, with a $10 super chat. Lil Wayne is as much a great rapper as wrestler the great Khali. Really? Okay. Lil Wayne is about as great of a rapper as Khali is a wrestler. Okay. By the way, what did you think of all the shots on Vince lately? Do you think it's a deliberate method to distance themselves or genuine? I think it's genuine, and I think it's fucking great. I think it's great. I think, look, you want to pile on the guy and talk about how it's much better now than it was before, and the culture and the changes that are being made. It's the truth. So I don't have an issue with it. I think it's great. Navy 4181. I love The Rock kicking Seth's belt out of the ring. On another note, do you think Triple H will shoehorn himself into tomorrow night's main event to help out Cody? I don't think that he wants to be involved physically. Now, is it possible that he'll come out and counteract The Rock? Kind of show him who's boss? Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I really don't see him getting physically involved in the main event. KC, any chance that LA Knight, Randy Orton, Sami, and KO aid Cody Rhodes in his title match tomorrow night? Cena has a high chance to take out Solo to avenge his Mania loss last year. It's exactly what I said in my Mania predictions. As far as the other people you mentioned, yeah, I mean, kind of all the people that have been wronged by Roman, yeah, there's a chance. We kind of got that last year already, because if you remember, Sami and KO got involved in the 39 main event. And they fought off the Usos. Uffman. Rock to Cody. You owe me one, pal. Nick Grasso. With Lyra Valkyria losing, does that mean she gets called up this week, or does she stay in NXT a little bit longer to finish the storyline with Tatum Paxley? And will there be any other NXT call-ups? I would expect there to be at least one. Lyra, I would think Lyra sticks around a little bit longer. I think Carmelo Hayes is going to be called up. He's the one I expect. T-Mac, sorry for the crowd being dead. We were freezing. Yeah, I kind of feared that was the case. What's the weather supposed to be like tomorrow? I haven't even checked. Is it going to be any better tomorrow? Probably not, right? Chris Mikesell, thank you for your kick-ass review. I look forward to your thoughts on the Hall of Fame. Cool to see Shamrock in the crowd. Hope he gets inducted next year. Yeah, I didn't see him in the crowd. I saw him backstage. There was a photo that somebody took. And I was very happy to see him back in the fold. He's kind of been the odd man out now for so many years. It was like he thought he was blackballed from the company. It felt like he was. And I'm glad that that is slowly changing. The Real CS says, how long does it take for Julia to be the NXT Women's Champion? I think there's a good chance it happens this year. The Juliet, Triple H addressed Brock's status at the presser. He said that Brock is with the company, and he is home being Brock. Yes, I just mentioned that. Juliet, thank you for the 5. Thunder Force, Wayne needs to take a lesson in basic thugonomics. Is John Cena a better rapper than Lil Wayne? TK Banks, odd choice to have most of the stadium dark, and you could only see some of the floor seats with the fans. You would think they would light up the stadium for the 70,000 in attendance. Well, that could also have something to do with visibility issues, and I say that as somebody who missed a couple of matches at WrestleMania at MetLife. The last time they had it there at 35. So, yeah, I completely missed the Randy Orton AJ Styles match. Didn't see any of it. Because there was a fucking light shining in my face. To the point where even when the match was over, Randy Orton addressed it on social media. And he said, man, I'm sorry for all the fans who were blinded by the light. You missed a really great match. I'm like, yeah, I did. I went into the concourse thinking, well, I'll watch it on... I'm sure they have it on the TVs, like on the inside, and they didn't even have it on the TV, so I just missed the match. I don't even think I must have gone back to watch it, though. But I honestly have no memory of it. I have no memory of that Randy Orton AJ Styles match. I was literally blinded and couldn't see anything. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's part of their calculus as far as why the lights were dark in certain areas. You know, that could have been a consideration. Retro KOH, how long before Mania is sponsored by Blue Chew? They'll be sponsored by Blue Chew before me. I feel like every podcast has been sponsored by Blue Chew. It's like the one that I never got. Maybe it's just that they know I don't need to sample the product, you know. That could be why. All those other guys have to, you know. I get it. It's fine. It happens as you get older. This journey called life. In your opinion, why did Night 1 feel so lackluster? I mean, I think we've already talked about it pretty much at length. It's just a combination of some of the matches disappointing. And it was a combination of that and the overall audience reaction and investment in a lot of the matches. Those two things put together just make for a bad combination. But for me, some of the matches just did not live up to expectation. You know, Jimmy and Jay. Some people are going to love the ladder match. I wasn't a huge fan of the ladder match. The tag match with Rey and Escobar and Dom and them. I thought that was disappointing compared to what we could have gotten from those four. Ryan Elliott, FYI, the Auto WrestleMania 40 mini helmet in the WWE shop has Cena, Austin, and Nash as the only non-current wrestlers. Nash to show during the LA Knight match. No, Kevin Nash is not showing up. Kevin Nash has talked about not wanting to go anywhere. That's why he didn't go to Revolution. He doesn't want to be around people. I think he's just still, yeah. I mean, look, the guy lost his son. He lost his best friend and his son almost back to back. I just think he's still probably somewhat depressed and just doesn't want to just be around people, which is totally understandable. That's my view of it. You know, listening to him speak, and I see clips of his podcast, and I am not expecting Kevin Nash to wrestle, and neither should you. Toby, Shout out to the 13 souls who clicked the thumbs down button on the stream. Where are we on the thumbs up? I haven't even checked. Oh, look at that. 1,300. That's pretty badass. Hit that thumbs up. That way it'll get into the visibility on the sidebar. We'll get more people who check out the review. Ultra Beast Boy, since I started listening to your podcast in 2012, you've only missed like 1 or 2 Sundays that I can remember. Immaculate work ethic. I'm going to try my hardest not to make this one of them. Even though I don't know how long the show will be. I don't know when it'll be up. I'm going to do my best, I promise. I try. HBKC83, did you enjoy the LA Knight and AJ Media Day brawl, and did it raise your interest in the match? I saw some clips. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I liked it. I think that AJ, I didn't see if LA Knight got bloodied up, but AJ got his nose busted open, I saw. I think it helps put a little more heat on the match that it needed. So I like it. Alvarez says they are going to actually air the footage of Brawl In. There was security camera footage of what happened. I'm not aware of what other footage there would be. So, if that's the case, then we might be seeing security footage of exactly what went down. But I think we kind of already know what went down. And no matter which way you slice it, and I got some thoughts on old Jack Perry I'll share tomorrow, but whichever way you slice it, it's not a good look for CM Punk. Now, I know all the Punk defenders will defend him until the death, regardless, but it's not a good look for CM Punk. Kung Fu Joseph, which belt is leaving, the Universal or the Heavyweight? Universal. I think Universal is gone. If one of them leaves, unless Cody is just still the undisputed champion. Powerful one. Maybe Cody will show up with his own new updated winged eagle with the WWE logo in the center instead of the eagle. See, I would hate that though. You gotta have the eagle. Gotta have the eagle in the globe with the blue, adds a little bit of color to it. But they love their logo belts. So probably not gonna happen. Powerful One says, remember when Roman called Cody and Seth number 2s, and they should go in the corner with the other number 2s? I found that funny, and I thought Rock should join them, since Rock himself was number 2 in the Attitude Era. Well, that may have been true back then. Well, look, they were pretty neck and neck. I mean, to me, Austin's the face of that era. And Austin, at his peak of popularity, nobody could touch him, not even Rock. Nobody could touch him. But they were, Rock was almost right there with him. And now there's no comparison. Rock is a far bigger star now than Austin. Why me? 2099. With the draft coming up, do you think Cody will end up on Raw because of the Netflix thing, and they would send the World Heavyweight title and McIntyre over to SmackDown? Interesting prospect there. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing against trading champions or trading titles, so if it was a Netflix concern that they had, I mean, look, the Netflix move doesn't happen until January, so you want to get somebody on the other show, there's always a way. They could go to Netflix in January, and then a few months later, they could draft Cody or, Cody and his title back to Raw if they wanted to. They don't have to do it now. I mean, the Netflix deal is still a ways off. Omar says, apparently AEW will be releasing the footage of Punk and Jungle Boy, which we talked about already. Omar, thank you. Kells, sadly, when Roman loses tomorrow, I need you to give him his flowers, please. Okay? Sort of like a post-mortem on his run. Bernard with the $10 super chat. If the original plan was Roman versus Cody, this means that Cody wasn't going to finish the story. Could this still happen and we get Roman as champion even longer? We may get swerved. We're not getting swerved. It's the end of the road. Barry MK, how did you like Rhea's song played live? I normally liked the song, but I thought it was bad live. Maybe the worst live song in WrestleMania history. It was definitely not the worst live song in WrestleMania history. You have to go back and listen to whatever the hell that was at the beginning of WrestleMania 14. With Chris Warren and his band doing the, what was it? The National Anthem or America the Beautiful? It was one or the other. That's probably the worst that I've ever heard. I like the song when it's just played normally. I also, look, I didn't think the live performance was as good, but I didn't think it was terrible either. It was better than Lil Wayne. I'll say that. It was better than Lil Wayne was tonight. Omar says, Meltzer, Bryan Alvarez, and SRS are saying it is the actual footage. Omar, thank you. I read yours earlier, and I just read it for a second time. Uffman Entertainment. Weather for Sunday night 2, high of 58, low 38. If only the commentators would mention the weather during the show because I was so damn curious, but oh well, yeah. I don't think they mentioned it enough. 58 during the day does not mean it's going to be 58 come showtime, but that seems a little bit warmer, so maybe it'll be better. I hope. Holiday 197, I would like to see WrestleMania come to Seattle one year. If they could have a 72,000 capacity for this year, they could do 68,000 for Lumen Field with the cityscape in the backdrop. Is Lumen, I don't even know, is Lumen Field, is it open air or is it indoor? Because it rains a lot in Seattle, so that would be a concern. Boo Boss says AEW really salty about what Punk said this week, huh? Yeah, I think we could kind of tell just based on that Adam Copeland segment on Wednesday. Barry MK, how did we go from I can't talk about that to showing footage of it? What do you think? Somebody feels gotten to. Ultra Beast Boys, depressing that AEW is even referencing that, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, look. You kind of go into fight or flight mode in a situation like this. That's even the right way to put it. And you feel like you're being attacked. You feel like you're being wronged in some way, or things are being misrepresented. And so you feel like you have to represent your side of the story. But here's the thing. They send Adam Copeland out there on TV to eat 8 minutes up of their television show to give a rah-rah speech about the company. Now, if this is true, what's being reported, and I don't know, it may be 30 seconds of footage. I don't expect it to be an overly long segment. But now they're going to spend time on their television show litigating something that happened, I mean, how many months ago? That has absolutely nothing to do with anything anymore at this point, instead of focusing on their fucking television show and keeping the focus there. What happened? You got Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross on their podcasts who were asked about this, and they said, who gives a fuck? I don't want to talk about it. I don't care. I want to look ahead. I want to move ahead. Right? That's the right attitude to have. I mean, clearly there are internal things that need to be addressed, but as far as this whole issue is concerned, like, that would be the attitude to have. You know what? Let's just focus on our shit and move on. And now, we hear about this, and all anybody is talking about now is the second worst, situation or incident in the history of this company. Second only to Brawl Out. We go from Brawl Out to Brawl In, which is old news at this point, and now all of a sudden it's being dredged up and litigated all over again. It's pathetic. Leonza Duncan. The Uso match was boring as fuck, but I've seen way worse WrestleMania matches. Most WrestleManias have a few bad matches. The tag matches were just okay, but not bad. Yeah, there have been a lot of WrestleManias, even some of the older ones from that I look back on and I sort of reminisce about. That when you really look at the undercards, there was a lot of shit on there. And then I grade those WrestleManias accordingly. Those are not on my list of the greatest WrestleManias. Neither will this one be. Or at least the first night. Maybe the second night will blow away night one. I hope so. I hope night two can make up for what I didn't like on night one. Pax Bison. Let's see here. Pax Bisonica, I'm going to say, is the pronunciation there. Thank you for the 20 bucks. The entire bloodline will turn on Roman tomorrow night, just like when Rock became the leader of the Nation of Domination and they all turned on Farouk, allowing Roman to return to being a babyface going forward. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think that Roman, the end goal here should be Roman is like a mega babyface. Goes away for a while, comes back. When they do Rock and Roman, Roman should be baby, Rock can be heel. Rock does the job for his cousin, Roman goes over. Dr. Bropio, I'd rather sit through another year of Roman's title reign and him breaking Hogan's record than see footage of Brawl Out or Brawl In, whichever the fuck it is. And Kung Fu Joseph, I believe we've reached the end. Have you seen Succession yet? I have not. And I know it's on my watch list. Everybody raves about it. I have not seen it. I'm still very upset that it robbed The Last of Us of some awards that show should have won. But I haven't seen it, so I can't really say whether or not it deserved those awards. Maybe it deserved all the awards. But I've heard nothing but positive things about Succession. So one of these days I will have to start the show. Well, the goal tonight for P. the Booker was a meager, modest 750 likes. And we are currently sitting at 1,340. So we're actually approaching 1,400. Let's see if we can get up there. Real quick, I should mention, I mentioned it before, but if you did miss it, my WrestleMania predictions video, including Night 2 predictions, is up with my Mark Henry interview on this very channel. This is the thumbnail to look for when you're done here or tomorrow. You can go check it out. My thanks again to Fox Sports for having me in and Mark Henry for joining us. It was a very cool day on Thursday. So again, if you missed it, be sure you go and check that out. It is well worth your time. And I'll tell you what else it's time for. It's time to be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
Yes, indeed. There it is. Rock slapping Cody, slapping the taste out of his mouth. Doing the same thing here on WrestleMania Night 1. When will Cody finally get his revenge? Hopefully in less than 24 hours, that's when. For his sake, I hope so. All right, at almost 3 o'clock in the morning, let's book ourselves a very quick wrestling card and get the hell out of here. So we can prepare for 2 podcasts that I have to work on tomorrow, basically. All right, here we go. We begin with Private Party, Mark Quinn, and Isaiah Cassidy. One of the great young tag teams currently in AEW. House of Glory. House of Glory's own Private Party. And it will be Private Party taking on the Lucha Bros, Penta and Rey Fénix. There you go. You can see that match on Dynamite this week, but you won't. Because Fénix hasn't been back yet. But you know who's getting Fénix first? We are. We got Rey Fénix and Penta one-on-one against each other. Cinco de Mayo, House of Glory. I'll be calling that match on May 5th. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, I'd definitely give that match a bell. That'd be a fun match. Okay, Women's Be the Booker. Here we go. This is a WrestleMania-themed edition of Be the Booker. We got to book some WrestleMania caliber matches here. We begin with Naomi, who was on the WrestleMania card today, picked up a win. Former SmackDown Women's Champion Naomi. Who are we programming Naomi with? It's going to be Naomi one-on-one with Maria Kanellis. How are we feeling about Maria Kanellis against Naomi? I'll give that the bell. I was on the fence. I had to think about it for a second. But I'm willing to give that the bell. All right, Men's Be the Booker. I would love to get a clean sweep tonight. I would love to get a clean sweep for you guys. You guys have been so supportive tonight. I need a strong main event here. Strong main event. Come on, we can do it. We can do it. The Tribal Chief says, pick a damn stipulation. So we are going to have to pick a stipulation for our main event. Let's see what kind of match it's going to be. Roman Reigns gives the order, we have to follow through. So we got to pick a stip. This main event, it'd be kind of funny if it landed on Bloodline Rules, which isn't in here, so that's not going to happen. I may have to add it, though. First Blood. Of course, you can see Jon Moxley in that graphic. First Blood match is what we are looking for here. All right, so we got ourselves a First Blood main event. Participant number 1, John Cena. We're going to be seeing this guy in less than 24 hours. Mark my words. I guarantee it. One of the bloodiest matches in WWE history involved this man. Actually, he's had a few of them, to be honest with you. Especially when Brock first came back to the company. That first match back that he had with John Cena, John bled, he busted him open. But the match he had, and I want to say it was Judgment Day, in May of 2005 against JBL. Cena, I mean, you couldn't even see his nose. Like, he was just covered in, like, deep, dark red blood. It was sickening. Let's see who it's going to be. John Cena, get a drum roll here. In a First Blood match against Cody Rhodes. The man that he is going to help tomorrow night. And if anybody loves bleeding in wrestling, it is a Rhodes. If Cody had his way, he'd be bleeding in tomorrow night's main event. He may bleed in tomorrow night's main event. He already bled once in this program. John Cena and Cody Rhodes in a First Blood match, and that, my friends, means that we have got ourselves a clean sweep for night 1 of WrestleMania. Now, is that a WrestleMania main event or is that a WrestleMania main event? First Blood with Cena and Cody. We did good. We did good. Now we have to hope that we carry that momentum all the way into night 2. That's what I'm hoping for. Creflo $50 with a $5 super chat says Solo's post-WrestleMania stream is longer than a 2003 Triple H promo and just as good as Wawa at 3 a.m. Yeah, I just realized we went over 3 hours. I did not even realize that we had gone that long. Barry MK400, Cena and Angle had a great First Blood match in 2006. Yeah, I know they did, but I just don't remember much about it. Just doesn't stand out to me. Well, this has been one hell of a stream. I may have enjoyed this stream more than I did most of this WrestleMania show, but it's going to be Bloodline Rules tomorrow night. It all comes down to this, folks. It's do or die for that man right there. It's do or die for Cody Rhodes. He either finishes the story or he is a 3-time loser in WrestleMania main events. What's it going to be? We'll find out. As I point to the WrestleMania sign, that sign will be up one more night. I'm going to be back here with you one more night. We're going to talk about, actually, we're going to talk about Raw Monday night as well. But we're going to do it all over again on Sunday night. I hope you will join me live for the post show. I hope you will also make sure you subscribe to the podcast, which will be going up at some point in the afternoon. I don't know when. Hopefully not too late. On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the usual platforms. We'll talk about, we'll talk more about this. We'll talk about WrestleMania Night 2 predictions, my thoughts on the Hall of Fame, and I got some thoughts on the Bray Wyatt documentary as well. I want to make sure I share that with you. Look at that. How's that for an appropriate super chat? CM Punk choking Jack Perry. You don't even have to watch Dynamite. You got it right there. There you go. that screenshot might be from the video they're going to release. And yeah, I'll be talking about Punk as well. So that'll be episode 856 of the Sound Off, going up in mere hours. So until then, be well, stay safe. Thank you again for all of the love, all of the support. I hope you'll bring that back tomorrow night for night 2 of WrestleMania. Until then, I'll see you for the post show. Take care, guys.